Whoa, look at what is happening here. It is Beyond the Circus on the X-Rated Sports Network. Yo,
Okay,
we
right.
got most of the band back here. Upper left, we've got the creator, the founder, the patriarch, Dr. X, one of the top sports medicine radiologists in the country. Lower right, we've got Dwight Walton, and he is back. Lower left, we've got A.M. Pfeffer. I am Rick Kamla. Dwight, it's good to have you back, man. What's up, bro?
I was on the disabled list for a couple of weeks, but I'm okay. I'm recovering nicely. I had a severe bout of the shingles. If anybody out there knows what that is, you don't want to get that. And I've been going through it for the past month to 6 weeks. I've been dealing with ointments, with medications, with anti-inflammatories, the whole nine. But I think I'm coming out on the other side. I'm feeling much better. Hopefully 2026 has a better ending than 2025 did. But all in all, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm here, and I'm ready to talk sports, as always.
I love it. So the great Mitch Lawrence is going to join us, one of the top NBA writers of the
Awesome.
last, 30 years. And he's really fun. He's going to crack some jokes with us, I think. I don't want to put him on the spot. But anyway, he's my homie from SiriusXM NBA Radio, a fountain of NBA wisdom and information. Still works with SiriusXM. So we'll have him on at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And fellas, let's dive in and let's start with Ja Morant, because it's officially on, okay? The ESPN report here that the Grizzlies are entertaining offers to potentially move Ja Morant ahead of the February 5th trade deadline. Multiple teams are pursuing Morant in trade talks, according to ESPN. Rival executives believe the Grizzlies want to prioritize draft picks and young players. This is the first time that the Grizzlies have engaged other teams in trade talks for Ja Morant. That's why we're talking about it right now. This isn't, some kind of random report, it might happen. No, it's on. Conversations are being had right now. And so Morant's 26, under contract through the 27-28 season, so that's about 2.5 years out. He's eligible to sign a 3-year, $178 million extension this summer. Okay. I'm sorry. Ja Morant's averaging 19.7.6 assists, shooting a career low 40%, and the guy never plays. All right, Memphis is 10-9 with him, 6-12. Without him, 6-12 when he plays. Okay. Now, Evan Sidery is reporting teams to watch, and he's got the Milwaukee Bucks. Brett Siegel is reporting Heat, Timberwolves, Kings, and Clippers. Okay, the team's named Bucks, Heat, Wolves, Kings, Clippers. All right, and you guys can go off the board here. Pick any team. You can theorize, but let's get into this. What would be the best fit for Ja Morant, since it looks like he is going to be traded in advance of this deadline? And Dr. X, I want to get you talking. I want to get you flapping your wings. You just got off that flight from Fiji, my brother. What is the best fit for Ja Morant?
I mean, just from the names you said, I have to evaluate them a little bit more. But I definitely, just off the top, I would say the Heat, only because of the Heat culture. I know that they may have some more accountability built in, and I think that would be best for Ja Morant. I know, I don't think weight is an issue with him, but I even think that might even be a good destination for Zion as well. And maybe they can have an AAU reunion, and you might see eventually Ja Morant with the Zion Williamson would be great. But right now we're talking about Ja Morant, so I would say I'd pick the Heat. Also a big market. I think for the NBA in general, Ja Morant is good for the league because of he's one of the most exciting players to watch when he is, bringing that heat and when he's bringing that athleticism and that grit, which I feel has been lacking for the last year and a half or so. So I think the Clippers would be a good market for him because it's in LA. And Rick, just real quick, what are the other teams? Did you say the Bucks? I don't think that's a good destination. Was it the Kings you said too?
It was Kings, Timberwolves, Bucks, and Clippers. Kings, Timberwolves, Bucks, Clippers.
I think I know my cousin Dwight's gonna probably say the Timberwolves, which I think that backcourt would probably be the most dynamic and most fun to watch. It'd probably be most must see TV. So with that said, I think on paper it's the Timberwolves, But I think for Ja Morant's career trajectory and just trying to, rehabilitate his image and everything, I think it would have to be the Miami Heat. And in general, just for the NBA market, the Clippers, or just being in LA would be my third choice.
I like it. I have stacked it as well, Doc. I think I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll give you my list in a second here. But I love where your head's at with that. AM Pfeffer, let's get you talking here, man. Best fit for Ja Morant.
Yeah, I like what Doc said. The Heat is absolutely right. Look, Tyler Herro is listed as a combo guard, but he's a shooting guard all day, right? I mean, he can handle the rock if necessary, but you got to go all the way down on the depth chart to Davion Mitchell, over 7 assists a game, but he doesn't even produce close to 10 points a game. So Ja could slide in and do all that. Now, do the Heat need him right now? Do they want to take on the headache? You're talking about a guy who's shooting 20% from three. You might as well be shooting 0% from three if you're all the way down there at this point. I was so excited about Ja Morant. I listed him as one of the most exciting players at the beginning of the season. I was excited to see him back. I thought this was a year he made a comeback. Memphis could slide into the 5th, 6th, or 7th spot. Nope, not at all. This has become a major problem. He should be shipped out to Sacramento at this point. And off the heels of Trey Young and what just transpired with him with 0 picks and that unbelievable trade that was done over to Washington, it's like, what are we even talking about here? Now we're listing teams like the Pelicans and the Bucks, who, and we talked about it the other day, Cam, like they're dead and don't know it yet. The Clippers, who are just, combined age of 50 years plus across the entire roster. None of this to me makes sense. It's not exciting anymore. It's just not even cool to talk about Ja Morant, and that in itself is a shame. So yeah, it would be amazing if somehow he makes his way to Minnesota, acts like he belongs and wants to be there and revives his career, or does it down in Miami and imbibes himself into that Heat culture, because other than that, it wouldn't excite me at all to land on any of those other teams.
Sacramento's your answer, right?
Yeah,
or is it Miami?
You know what? Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me back to what I was just talking about. Sacramento's where he belongs. Put him in Sacramento. But I hope Doc's right and Heat are the answer, because he actually slides in very well there, and they need him. They need a point guard.
They need a shot in the arm. I'm not sure he's the right shot in the arm, but they definitely need a shot in the arm. I mean, Ja Morant and Pat Riley. Doc, I love where your head's at. And like, theoretically, right? It's exactly what Ja needs, but does Ja want to listen? Does he want to open his heart, open his brain, and listen to Pat Riley and Coach Spo and GOATs? Okay? GOATs. I don't know if he wants to listen to GOATs and do what they and follow their wisdom. All right, Dwight Walton, you are next, my friend. Best fit for Ja Morant.
My cousin said it, and I'm going to say it again. There's only one correct answer here, and it's in Minnesota with Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves. That's who the Timberwolves need. Could this be their Rasheed Wallace moment? Because they have gotten to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. Could Ja Morant be the answer at the point guard position for the Timberwolves? I firmly believe that Anthony Edwards needs help in terms of playmaking and being able to get their shot on their own or for somebody else. And to everybody else is responsible at the Miami Heat, Ja Morant doesn't want to play in an offense that Eric Spoelstra is having right now. Why do you think he had issues with the previous administration in Memphis? The more open, play freely, random, cut and move, pass and move. He wants the ball in his hands, most screen roll action. That's how he feels he has the best success in the NBA. Right now, the Miami Heat currently have had the least amount of screen roll actions in the NBA. That does not fit what Ja Morant wants to do. He wants the ball in his hands. He wants to be able to create for himself and for others. And that's how he sees himself having success in the NBA. I understand what we're talking about when it comes to the Heat and their culture, and how Ja Morant might possibly need some of that discipline both on and off the court. But again, to me, the only correct answer here are the Minnesota Timberwolves. Could he be that missing piece to get the Wolves over the top? I would think Morant and Anthony Edwards would automatically put themselves into the conversation of having the most explosive backcourt in the NBA. And as long as Ja Morant could be on the court and be healthy and be the dynamic player that we know he can be when healthy, I think he'd be a major shot in the arm for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards specifically.
Man, you guys rock. All right, Doc said the Heat. AM says Sacramento. Dwight says Minnesota. And now it's your boys' turn. And I'm going off the board here from what you guys said. I'm going Bucks. And first for me is the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'll flesh this out, but let me give you the list. Second for me is the Brooklyn Nets. Third for me is the New Orleans Pelicans. Oh, fourth for me is Sacramento. And Doc, look, if I knew that Ja Morant was receptive to the culture change of going to the Miami Heat, that's the spot for Ja Morant. The Heat need what he brings, the oomph, right? Who cares about the Heat right now? They're so mid, it's ridiculous. Nobody cares about the Heat. A few people in Miami care about the Heat right now. Ja Morant goes there, everybody cares about the Heat. I just think his ears are closed. I think he's got blinders on. He's on Planet Ja. And until I see otherwise, hear otherwise, that's just going to be where I'm at. Ja's got to come get me back, guys. Okay? He had me, one of my favorite players. Love him. I picked him in, I'm in 2 dynasty leagues, not my main one, but my other one. I have Ja Morant on my team. Okay? At one point, I loved this guy. Ja's lost me. Okay? He's got to come get me back. I'm not coming to Ja. He got to come get me, okay? After all the injuries, the gun stuff, and just all the high maintenance bull crap, okay? Ja, come get me, okay? Because I ain't coming to you, bro. All right, Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis might be, Doc, to your point with Miami, player-wise, Giannis is a hard ass, okay? He may be that hardcore influence that Ja Morant needs and actually listens to. Probably not, but there's a chance. He's an all-time great. He's a GOAT. We all know, he's like really nice and cute and cuddly, and we all love the dad jokes and stuff, but guess what? You peel all that away, and Giannis is a you-know-what. It's a word I don't want to say anymore, but, he's a hard ass, okay? He's a winner. He's a killer, all right? So if Ja wants to plug into that, it'll work, okay? Because Milwaukee's a dying team right now. Giannis doesn't want to be traded, or at least maybe he does, but he doesn't want to ask out, okay? And my whole thing with Giannis is man the frick up and ask out, and they will trade you. But you have to ask out for them to trade you. They don't want to trade you, okay? But they will if you create a problem for them. But he doesn't want to do that, all right? So they're still trying to add to Giannis and keep this thing afloat. What are they, 17-21 or some horrible record right now? Bucks are 1 for me. 2 is Brooklyn. The league's most boring team needs a star player for at least headlines and relevance, if not wins, okay? And Ja Morant would run roughshod on that organization. It would not work, okay? But Brooklyn's got to do something, dude. Nobody cares about your team. Nobody. Remember what I said about Miami, okay? 15.5 million people care more about the Heat than these darn Nets. Nobody cares about the Nets. And I'm talking about the borough of Brooklyn. Number 3, the New Orleans Pelicans. Why not try Ja Morant and Zion Williamson? Why not? 1 and 2 in the same draft. They'll be forever linked. What the hell do you have to lose if you're the Pelicans? What do you have to lose? Great pick with Derek Queen. Love that kid. Jeremiah Fears has shown some moments. Maybe you can trade Fears to Memphis with a whole bunch of other stuff and bring Morant down to New Orleans. All right? I'm just saying, why not? You're already screwed. You have the worst team in the Western Conference. You could go get him perhaps for a song. Why not? And then 4th is Sacramento and AM. Just a quick zinger here because they deserve each other, right? Sacramento. It's Vivek Ranadive. He's always going to over-own and meddle and get in his team's way and make all of these stupid-ass decisions. And so it's just so perfect to banish Ja Morant. They banished Trey Young, my guy, to Washington. And we're going to debate that. Was he banished or saved? But anyway, I'm making a joke here. But Ja Morant, Morant and Sacramento deserve each other, man. Lie in the bed of misery together. Any other comments on Ja here, guys? You ready to move on?
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
go ahead.
After hearing everybody's take, I think I'm going to be more on the Minnesota side. So I agree with Dwight. I think the other perspective, the other layer to that is that Ja needs someone that, like Anthony Edwards, that's I would say a 1A star, that he knows where he fits on the totem pole in terms of just like, okay, I'm going to defer to Anthony Edwards. This is the Anthony Edwards team. The other teams, I just feel like he might feel like he's a star and may butt heads with a couple other people. But I agree that for several reasons, I think he would probably fit in better next to Anthony Edwards. I think he would bring his A game. He'd bring that fire if Anthony Edwards is his backcourt teammate. Versus the other teams, I'm not sure if anybody there excites me. And I just feel like Anthony Edwards and I'm not sure who they'd be able to keep, because they're going to probably have to give up somebody. Hopefully they keep McDaniels, and Randall might be the one heading out. But they'll figure it out. There's probably some other trades they could do as well.
Listen, cuz everybody on the panel, here's what I do know about this Morant situation. And this is why, again, I want this to happen. I've been saying this since before the season. And here's why I think it will happen. I think Ja needs to go to a place, A, where he's wanted. So if you trade for him, that means you want him. And B, you're automatically plugging him into a situation to where the Wolves are in a championship conversation. And again, Rasheed Wallace was the missing piece back in 2004 for the Detroit Pistons. Could Ja Morant find himself being that piece? Again, we're talking about a team that has gone to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. And based on what I'm hearing, and we have to understand this now, I'm sure the Grizzlies have been trying to trade Morant for quite some time now. And the reality is, maybe they didn't like the offers they were getting, so that's why they went public with Morant being on the trading block. So now, what does that mean? Yes, the reports are about them wanting to get at least a first-round pick and some young talent. But the reality is, you may get a deal somewhat similar to what the Hawks got for Trey Young in Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum, more than what the Grizzlies currently want. So if you go to the Wolves and you say, you know what, we'll take Terrence Shannon Jr., we'll take Rob Dillingham, we'll take whatever other young talent you have on your roster, which sort of fits the criteria of what the Grizz want. They want young players in return. They may not get that first round pick, but they'll get young players in return. Will that be enough for the Grizzlies to pull the trigger? I know the Wolves would make that trade, but will the Grizzlies make that trade? Also, it also confuses and makes this whole situation kind of crazy right now. The Grizzlies are currently on their way to Europe. They're playing in Berlin on Thursday, and they're playing in London on Sunday against the Orlando Magic. Now, when you're promoting these two games, do you put Ja Morant on the marquee, or do you put somebody else? And Morant currently is injured. And that's also what makes this whole situation kind of strange, because Morant is never available. So could it be a buyer beware situation? That remains to be seen. But I truly believe in my heart of hearts that the Minnesota Timberwolves is the only spot that Ja Morant should want to go to, because it plucks him in to an automatic championship situation. And I think he will conform and do his best to do right by Edwards, the rest of that roster, and the entire Timberwolves organization.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you're Minnesota, don't do it. Don't even think about it. Ja Morant is not the guy. He's not the guy physically anymore. He's proven himself not to be a team player. He is a problem, a headache. The Timberwolves sit fourth in the Western Conference right now. They're on a heater. Houston is finding themselves on the wrong side of the basketball these days. The Lakers are obviously not getting it done. The Spurs are 500 lately. In their last 10 games, there's an opportunity for Minnesota to establish themselves with who they have. There are other point guards out there. It's one thing for the Heat to step up and say, like, fine, put Morant down there and let him shine. And, they're already dwindling out there in the East. The Minnesota Timberwolves are in a good position. They do not need to take on Ja Morant and try and shove him into that guard position to play next to Ant Edwards. There's other, like, serviceable point guards who could be available to trade deadline and ball handlers and give you that 20 minutes you need. Don't do it if you're Minnesota. Don't even think about it.
So, fellas, I'm with AM here. Okay, you guys know that I'm a Wolves fan. And, if Morant is traded to Minnesota, I'm not going to, complain, because it's going to be the guys you mentioned, Dwight. I just saw a report that Dillingham, they're already trying to move him. I have no idea why they dislike him so much, but Terrence Shannon Jr., I thought he was going to have, a sixth-man type of, not award winner, but, just a good sixth-man, breakout, right? Playing 20 minutes, averaging 11, 12 points. That hasn't happened, okay? Chris Finch is old school. If you're not grinding on the defensive end and playing with a lot of intelligence, you're not playing, period, okay? So, but I think these are really nice young prospects. And if I were Memphis, I would want both of those guys. But last thing here, Dr. X and Dwight, if Ja Morant is traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and if Ja Morant torpedoes my Minnesota Timberwolves, you and I are going to have some words here, okay? We're going to have to come back and revisit this. I'm just kidding you guys. But I'm on record with this. I mentioned 4 teams, guys. I ranked 4. Minnesota was not one of those teams. I see what you're saying in theory with Miami and Minnesota. In theory, I'm buying it. But what I found is that Ja Morant urinates on theories. Okay, and I don't want him urinating on my theory, which is the Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, we're moving on here, guys. Fire up the XSN clinic. Because we have to talk right now about one of the softest human beings on planet Earth. How is this guy a top 75 player? He's played 75 games in his career. What's happening here? The Tin Man has fallen once again. Okay, the Mavericks said that Anthony Davis has ligament damage in his left hand, Dr. X, an injury that could require surgery and would sideline him for several months. Find that very, very dubious. The injury occurred on the softest play ever, Lauri Markkanen's driving baseline. Anthony Davis breathes on him. He's like, oh, my left hand, it's on fire. It just fell off. What the heck just happened, bro? Sources say that Davis is going to get second opinions and make the decision about surgery. Dr. X, take this anywhere you want to go. But where I would like to ask you, again, one of the top sports medicine radiologists in America, several months with ligament damage in his hand, and it's not even his shooting hand. Usually with metacarpals and wrists and all that, it's 4 to 6 weeks, dude. And so we're talking about several months. Doc, help me out.
Yeah, I think we have to remember our previous guest. Remember Coach Hollins?
Yes.
Yes. So this is one of those things. I think it's more of a cosmetic thing and a functional thing. This is not old school. He needs to get this fixed if it's a ligament damage in one of the collateral ligaments. Because then he'll have a deformity going forward. He might have got it caught within the jersey, as well as probably had an impact injury as well, which may have. It's almost like the knee. It's a hinge joint, so it goes only flexes and extends. And so with the hinge joint, if you take out a collateral ligament, and so in the knee that would be the medial collateral ligament, right, or the lateral collateral ligament. And so MCL sprains, it's the same thing. It's that can mess up how your joint actually moves. So I think that's what it is. And if he doesn't get the surgery right now, then the actual ligament will atrophy and they can't connect it back. And then you'll end up with a long-term deformity for the rest of his life, as you saw with Coach Hollins. And that happened with just a pass. I think from Maurice Cheeks, he said, and he threw it pretty hard at him. And, you jam your fingers all the time, but most of us don't get a ligament, but in this case, it was just it was, a freak accident for AD because it really didn't look that bad. It looked like he just tore a fingernail, has a hangnail or something like that. But this is like I think is a ligament. And there's also other ligaments. The body's very intricate. A lot of other ligaments. There's one called the extensor hood, which could be on the top, and that leads to other deformities. And I know it's not a shooting hand, but if your finger is dangling and it's looking like you broke it, that's not something. It could be a big distraction. And honestly speaking, with all the injuries and all the stuff going on with the Dallas Mavericks, if I'm AD minus all the injury history, yeah, it's kind of annoying and fans are going to hate it, and he probably hates it himself. But he does need to get that fixed. And if I were him, I would just get it fixed because you're not losing any time here. I think that the season is a wash anyway, so you might as well just be off the map and just get it fixed at this point, so he doesn't have a long-term deformity.
Hey, Doc, Correa asked the question, is he just injury prone or is this a lack of strength training? And it's not just this injury, right? There was a meme going around on Twitter. He's already had like 6 different injuries since he's been with the Mavericks. He hasn't even been with the Mavericks for a full year.
Yeah, I don't think he has like a connective tissue disease where he's prone to, a lot of injuries. But, some people may be more injury prone than others. He is a big dude. You would expect that, someone like him would probably be a little more sturdy, but it seems like he is made of glass. I'm not sure, I doubt he has something called when you have like more like elastic type injuries. So meaning that your tendons and ligaments are more prone to tearing and things of that nature. I don't think he has that, but all in all, detached retina, that's not a ligamentous injury. Contusion, that's just like luck, but it seems like he can't play through certain things. Earlier in his career, they weren't like ACL tears. He's never had like an ACL tear, Achilles tear. He's never had a major injury, but he has all these knickknacks that just take him out. And it just seems like he can't play through them, So all in all, yes, Anthony Davis technically is made of glass, and we hate that. But ultimately, you have to look, when it comes to injuries, you have to look at it in a vacuum. He needs to take care of this right now. And you're not really losing any time given the way the Mavericks have been playing and the injuries they currently have.
All right, let's have a little fun with this. And I would like AM, Dwight, Dr. X, of course, you to chime in on this list. Phenomenal job breaking that down, Doc. So the question is Anthony Davis, and this is a loaded question, wink, wink, is Anthony Davis on the all-pillow team? Okay, because of Anthony Davis, it inspired me, a little creativity here in the lab, guys, to come up with my all-pillow team, okay? Because I was thinking, what's like super soft and pillow? It's the all-pillow team, okay? These are the 10 softest players in NBA history, all right? Number 1, there's no drum roll required. It's Anthony frickin' Davis, okay? That's 1. Ja Morant, dude's soft. Zion Williamson, the dude is soft. These guys never play. LaMelo Ball probably should go up higher on this list a little bit. I mean, he may not be like the franchise face of the all-pillow team, but you know what? He's a captain on this team, okay? So LaMelo Ball, Brandon Ingram. Crazy how many games he has not had good attendance since his rookie season. Not making that up, okay? Soft. D'Angelo Russell, if he's questionable, he's out for 2 weeks. Unbelievably soft. Okay? Bradley Beal. I know Bradley Beal looks like he could lift the arena, and he looks like a linebacker in the NFL, and he passes the eye test. He looks great in the airport. The guy never plays. He's so soft, it's unbelievable. And to have that huge rocked up bod and then, like, get these little injuries and you miss 2 months, bro, what is that? Like, what is that? Paul George. Pillowy soft. Pillowy soft.
No.
I mean, this guy.
No, not Paul George.
Oh, yeah, Paul George.
Chime in.
Paul George. And then 2 more guys. 2 more that aren't currently playing. Kevin Martin. Okay, you remember he had the weird shot that he brought up from the hip, and he was a really good scorer, right? Oh my God, was this guy soft? Holy cow! You get a thigh contusion, he's out a month, yo. Okay, and then Nene Hilario. And I saved Nene Hilario for last because I'm going to tell you a story about Nene Hilario. I I won't mention his name, but I'm good friends with a former executive of the Denver Nuggets. Okay, it was Warkenstein, and it wasn't him, but it was the other guy in that front office, and they were kind of the co-heads of it, and they both got executive of the year votes and the whole thing. Anyway, I worked with this dude at NBA TV, and he told me that before one of those seasons in Denver, Nene went to management and said, I'm only playing this many games, and I'm only playing this many minutes. And I said, how many games? He said, I don't know, it was 45 or 50 games. And I said, how many minutes? He said he didn't want to play more than half the game. Nene, before the train left the station, already self-prescribed rest. And that was before load management, guys. I mean, it was like kind of a thing in San Antonio, but it hadn't taken over the league yet, right? But Nene Hilario told the Nuggets what his attendance would be. Soft. Okay, so that's the all-pillow team. Dwight Walton, you come on here first with a little reaction to that.
So first of all, what's up, Dot? First of all,
fellas?
I don't think Paul George should be on this list. He had one of the more horrific leg injuries that we've seen over the past 20 years. His leg going into the backboard stanchion and basically breaking in half. And I just think his knees have had lingering effects of that injury. So I don't think he should be on the list. And while I understand the premise of your list and calling it a pillow list, Rick, I just think these players are more injury prone than they are soft. Now, of course, there are some injuries that we would like for our players to play through, but to be considered soft because you get injured, that's a tough one, because some of these guys are out there playing hard and their bodies simply can't take it. It doesn't matter if you look physically stout like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ligaments are ligaments, bones are bones. Stuff is going to happen. And basketball is so much of a contact sport, starting and stopping, jumping up and down, physical combat, all changing directions, all of that stuff, it affects the body. Listen, I'm a prime example. Both of my hips are replaced. 5 knee surgeries, elbow surgery, a broken jaw, dislocated shoulder. All 4 of my wisdom teeth have been taken out. My body has been through the ringer. Now, I tried to play through some of those injuries, but some of them I couldn't. Basketball's a contact sport. It's tough. I understand your list, but to call these guys soft rather than injury prone, I sort of have an issue with that. But I'm not trying to poo-poo your rant right here, but it is what it is. Some of these guys simply are injury prone. If they step left, something goes wrong. It just is what it is.
Man, I hear you, Dwight. I really do. Paul George, by the way, missed last night's game with some mysterious made-up knee. So, you can't make this up. And the other thing with Paul George, guys, he played half of his games as an LA Clipper. Half. Look it up. Look it up. He played half of his games as a Clipper, okay? And that was many years after the leg injury that he suffered while with the Pacers. We got to bring Brandon Armstrong in here. B-Dot, did you hear my all-pillow team? Were you able to take all that in? And I'd like your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I came in on the Paul George and Nene Hilario. I can give you Nene most likely. Yeah, that action for a certain amount of games, you're just gonna play and you're not Kawhi Leonard. That doesn't fly. That doesn't fly. Okay, I think only person that gets to do that is Kawhi. Okay, and some people don't like that. But when you won 2 rings, when you won a ring, 2 rings with 2 different organizations. One organization, you not even being the main person, and in the second organization, you ain't even want to extend. You ain't even want to play there next year. It was like, all right, let me go ahead and do this, do what I got to do. So I feel as though, and his braids has stayed intact. Hairline hasn't protruded at all. Let's think about this, guys. Like, at this point in career, a lot of these superstar NBA players they're about to come home. We see LeBron. LeBron looked like he got a 5 a.m. shadow fade on his hair. You feel me? Kobe went to ball. You see James hairline protruding, and Kawhi's the only one that stayed healthy, probably because he doesn't play as much. But hey, Hey, we got to give that to him. So all that I can give you Nene. Piggybacking off Dwight, the injury is tough. Injury prone, especially him having that injury where he snapped his leg in half, and to be able to come back from that, and dang near have an MVP season with OKC. So I understand what you're saying on that aspect, how he had a dang near MVP season with OKC, but hey, granted again, he hasn't played with the Westbrook yet. So, that made his job much easier. Come on now, we're gonna give Westbrook our credit. Westbrook turned that man into that top 3 MVP race. So I didn't get to hear the first 3, but I'm definitely I couldn't believe that about Nene. Not Nene. Nene Hilario. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and, I mean, Nene could be cast in like an action movie, right? Like I think of the old Conan the Barbarian. When Wilt Chamberlain was in it back in the 70s. Like Nene, I mean, muscle on muscle on muscle. So the list beat out was Anthony Davis. This is the all-pillow team. Anthony Davis, Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Ingram, D'Angelo Russell, Bradley Beal, Paul George, Kevin Martin, and Nene Hilario. That's the all-pillow team.
No Ben Simmons? No Ben Simmons?
He's out of the league. He's out of the league. That's why I forgot him. But you know what, B-Dot?
Okay.
You know what, B-Dot? I'm adding him right now. Great call.
No, I was just asking in general because I'm like, okay, Ben got to be here somewhere.
Phenomenal call.
So hold on.
Forgot him.
Why is Kawhi Leonard not on the list, Rick?
Good question. I thought about putting Kawhi on, and I think it's been so many like big time devastating injuries. What I have a problem with is a turned ankle and you miss 2 months, or these like minor, sort of, kind of minor injuries, and you're missing like you guys remember the year that Brandon Ingram had the toe and he missed like 4 months? What is that, dude? Like what? It's because you play with a crappy team, and and it's over and over and over. Guys, go to basketballreference.com and put in Brandon Ingram. Look at the games played column and try to sell me in a court of law that this dude's not soft. I'll wait.
Hey, man. Hey, Rick, them toe injuries different, bro.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Dwight, them toe injuries different because when my nails are too long and I stop and I'm hooping and I stop and stop, running, start and stop, it feel like my whole nail is peeling off. So I can only imagine what turf toe and that other toe still feel like, especially when you got these. I wear a size 14, so I know Brandon Ingram got a good 16, and I know his big toe is about as big as these 2 thumbs put together. So that's starting to stop it. But one person list I would like to hear, I would like to see is Doc's, just because he has the inside information, on these injuries. He'll probably have to sit down, do his research and everything, and he'll be able to give us more insight on it. But it's hard. I be wanting to call him soft sometimes, but at the end of the day, when you making $20+ million, you got to protect your value. You got to, protect your body because that is your job. So
Cuz, can you give us some more insight on turf toe? Because turf toe is no joke, man.
Yeah, turf toe is a ligament damage right under the toe, and that's where if you can rupture it when you just start and stop, and it's usually a football injury, but you can get it whenever. But I mean, Rick, I love your list. I agree with B-Dot and some others that Kawhi should be on there, but I also feel like I understand why he's not, because all in all, you have someone like who was Finals MVP twice for 2 different teams, and it was pretty much strong. But he actually tore his did he ever tear his ACL? I thought he tore his ACL at one point. But if
Quad,
not the ACL,
it was quad.
No, it was his meniscus he tore. But the other person that should be honorable mention but got out of the doghouse was Steph Curry. Because you remember he had all those ankle injuries, and then once he had that surgery to strengthen his ligaments in the area around, I forget which ankle, I think it was both ankles, but every single, I felt like every other week he was, rolling his ankle. And so I'm glad he got beyond that. Yeah. He said light-skin ankles. So, but
Brandon, by the way, Brandon Ingram did not have turf toe. He had a sprained big toe. Okay.
Yeah.
Boo-hoo. Anyway, the list is the list. Brandon, I want to go back. It's a pet peeve of mine, guys, like the lack of availability. And again, these are serial offenders. This is not one-offs here. I mean, this was a carefully crafted list. I did forget Ben Simmons, though, B-Dot. B-Dot, I got to go back to you about Ja Morant. Okay, we started the show talking about Ja, and I would like to know, Minnesota's been mentioned, the Clippers have been mentioned, Sacramento's been mentioned, Milwaukee's been mentioned, and Miami's been mentioned. Okay, like in reports and stuff like that. The Grizzlies are entertaining offers, B-Dot, on Morant for the first time in his tenure there. So this is big stuff right here. Where do you want to see Ja Morant play next?
Send him Sacramento. He don't need to go nowhere. He don't need to go no big time city. Even Memphis. Even though Memphis isn't a big time city, still some stuff you can do in Memphis to get in trouble. He don't need to come Atlanta. We got nothing but chicken wings and strippers. Minnesota, no, he don't need to go in Minnesota with Ant-Man and Ja Morant. And already he's trying to get to that professionalism, and it's still borderline. So him and and Minnesota, there's some stuff to do up in Minnesota. You feel me? Miami, HE-double hockey sticks. No, not no Miami. No. He not gonna be Ja Morant. No, he gonna be Poppy Morant. He ain't even gonna. Man, look, man, no. And the Clippers, LA. Oh heck no. So send him to Sacramento. You feel me? Send him to. I only want to. You know, I don't like. It's not basketball purgatory, but it's new. It's different. It's out of the way. It's not much to do in Sac, if anything. And it's a whole. He has a young basketball coach in Doug Christie. I don't know who they would trade him for. I'm pretty sure they'll keep Westbrook there. So I would love to see, one of the top. These are the top four. These two guys are the top four in athletic point guards overall ever, which is Ja Morant and Westbrook. So I would love to see Westbrook give some of Ja his knowledge in terms of how to play the game, and because Westbrook's going through some injuries, but he gonna play through them regardless. So if that peels off of him and goes into Ja, so I like to see Ja and Sac. Everywhere else I think it's just too much of a distraction, and Ja needs the most limited distractions of all the time. All we got to worry about is him hitting that bell, and that's it.
You guys are horrible, man. Sheesh, man. Wow.
He needs to be replanted, man.
Where you sending him, Dwight? Where you sending him?
Minnesota.
I agree.
I mean, of course, that's where I want to see him. I want to see him in Minnesota.
So let's see it. We're here bring out the popcorn, man. Let's go. Let's watch it.
We just know it's off-court problems, man.
Here's the deal, Dot. I think, and I said it earlier, I think this could be the Timberwolves' Rasheed Wallace from 2004. Ja could be the missing piece. The Wolves have gotten to the Western Conference Finals 2 seasons in a row. Ja could be that piece. The Grizzlies want young players in return. Send Terrence Shannon Jr. Send Rob Dillingham. Whatever other young piece you got on the roster. Shoot, send Michael Conley Jr. back to Memphis as a part of the deal. Yeah. Just do something. I think if you put Morant, and yes, I understand your trepidations with the Morant-Edwards connection off the floor, because Minneapolis is going on. If anybody's been there, you can have a good time there. I've been there.
Hello.
I know. All right. So I get that part. However, those two in the backcourt, Ja could be the missing piece. Yes, Ja can't shoot. He's not a great defender. We get all of that. But you give Edwards another option in terms of Edwards would gladly give him the ball. Ja, go take somebody off the bounce. Get 2 feet in the paint. Either you score on one of those floors or get it out to one of your shooters. I think it's the perfect marriage. I think it makes sense. I think the Wolves need to do everything in their power to get this done. The Wolves will be instantly championship contenders. They may be on the outside looking in right now a little bit, but you put Morant there, man, sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned.
Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Gobert. That's a nice little defense.
Come on now.
Hey, man. Hey, I like it. I mean, I like it. And it'll take the load off Ant-Man. He'll get more spot-up threes instead of coming off that pick and roll, because Ja can get to that paint. And Ja does like to pass. He likes to facilitate. So, I mean, I like it. I just want Ja to mature. I want him to mature.
Paper Tigers. That's what the Wolves would be with Ja Morant. He has so much proving to do to me. Paper Tigers. It's all again. You guys are hitting me with outstanding theories. Okay. And again, as we documented, Ja urinates on theories. Okay. On that note, let's bring in legendary NBA writer Mitch Lawrence, my homie on Sirius XM NBA radio. What a history for Mitch Lawrence, guys, covering the National Basketball with the New York Daily News, with Forbes, with Sporting News. Mitch and I did a million shows together on Sirius XM NBA radio, and there he is, the legendary one of the GOATs, ladies and gentlemen. Mitch, it's your boy Cam. I'm going to introduce you to the panel here in a minute, but how you doing, my friend? You look great.
I'm doing great. Happy New Year to all you guys. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. So above you, Mitch, is A.M. Pfeffer. He's an anchor, businessman, author, lives out in L.A., great analyst. In the middle here under me is Brandon Armstrong, a.k.a. B-Dot, one of the famous NBA impersonators. I know you're familiar with his work. We all are. He's the top NBA impersonator. And by the way, hilarious. Lower left is Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend, played in the Seoul Olympics in 1988 with the Canadian national team. And I saved the best for last. Upper left is Dr. Phil McDonald, Dr. X. He's our founder, creator, patriarch, and one of the top sports medicine radiologists in America. Fellas, Mitch Lawrence, fellas.
Guys,
what's going on, Mitch?
Man, you guys are talking up a streak. I like it. How come this guy over here didn't say, how about the Raptors for Ja Morant?
See?
Hold on, Mitch. Okay. I will answer that. I will answer that. I think Emmanuel quickly could have been involved in that deal, but I just don't think the Raptors are in the market for another guard. I know RJ Barrett's contract can be a problem if you're close to that first or second apron. I get that for Bobby Webster and the Raptors, but I don't think Ja Morant is who the Raptors are looking for. The Raptors need depth in the front court to go along with Jakob Poeltl. They don't need more guards in the backcourt. They already have enough as far as I'm concerned. Yes, they don't have much room for error because if one of those star players are injured, the Raptors seem to tank a bit. But Morant in Toronto is not what they need. They need bigs to go alongside Jakob Poeltl right now.
All right. I thought you were going to tell me that T. Morant wasn't going to clear customs. That was going to be because it's a package deal. It's a package deal, right? That's some package.
So, Mitch, we've heard some teams, right? Bucks, Wolves, Clippers, Heat, and Sacramento that have been been floated out in reports and stuff like that. Where do you want to see Ja play?
Well, I just want to see him play, and I want to see him get back to the Ja form from years ago. So it doesn't really matter. Brian Scalabrine, who was on with Isola today, Frank Isola on the starting lineup, and I was on for the last hour of the show, and the only reason I'm mentioning this is because I heard Brian say it, so I'm not going to steal it from him. He thinks the Pelicans are going to be players for Ja Morant. How about that? Go over there to New Orleans. Now, you might tell me that's not a great fit for Ja, but that might be something that Scal heard. Who knows? But that you can add that team to your list. The thing about Sacramento is interesting is they gave up on Halliburton, a mistake. They gave up on Fox, a mistake. So now they could be very much interested in Ja. The weird thing about the Kings is, it didn't work with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine in Chicago, and they've replicated that in Sacramento. So they still don't know what they're doing, but maybe they can get a little lightning in a bottle here with Ja Morant.
No, they don't know what they're doing, Mitch. Dr. X, come on in here with a question for Mitch Lawrence.
Hey, Mitch, so I hear you were one of the beat writers for the Dallas Mavericks as well as the Knicks.
Dallas Morning News back when Roy Tarpley got them to a Western Conference Finals in 1988 as the sixth man of the year. That's how far back I go.
Sheesh. So you precede Mark Cuban?
Yes, I was with when I covered the team, it was Donald Carter, the cowboy. That's why they used to have the logo with the end with the cowboy hat.
Yeah,
and he and Mark
yeah.
Aguirre were like this. And that's the guy who traded Mark Aguirre to Detroit to be back with Isaiah Thomas. So, yes, way back in the 80s.
Way back. Okay, so my question was about Mark Cuban, but you never interviewed him.
Go ahead.
Have you ever interviewed Mark Cuban or any Mark Cuban stories?
Many times. Many?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, but he came in after. He bought the team after I had already gone up to New York, but sure. And Mark Cuban right now, how's his deal? He's fun. He's like the Phil Knight of Indiana football.
Oh, yeah.
What Phil Knight does for Oregon football, Mark Cuban's doing that for the soon-to-be champion, undefeated, where did this come from, Indiana Hoosier football team. I've talked to Mark Cuban a million times.
Okay. Any stories you'd like to share with us about Mark Cuban?
Well, the only thing, and it just, the whole thing is that I don't think he gets enough grief for selling the majority of the team to the people who ended up trading Luka Doncic. Because Mark Cuban never would have done that if he if he had the majority of the team, right? But that was his mistake. And so he doesn't get nearly, and I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area now, and only, Nico Harrison and the owner, Patrick Dumont, who represents the Adelson family, who Cuban sold it to, they're the ones who are getting the flack. But, Mark doesn't seem to be, he kind of skated on that. But he should have never sold that team. I know it's hard to turn down billions of dollars. But in terms of stories, I don't really have any great Mark Cuban. He's a guy who, hey, let me tell you, there was a point when he was first starting out where he was so accessible. I could call him, email him at any time of the day. And he was just one of these guys. He just wanted to talk and talk and talk. And for a long time, we were wondering whether he was going to build a team around Dirk Nowitzki. And he finally did that in 2011. It took him a while. So, but I don't have any great, Mark Cuban's not hanging out with me. I'm not, he's a billionaire, right? What does he want from Mitch Lawrence? But I want to see what Indiana does. Kamla's already got on record saying Indiana's going to win the game big time over Miami. I know we're getting off here, but on a different topic. But that to me is still an incredible story. And Mark Cuban's got a lot to do with their success, obviously, because he's doing the NIL funding. I assume the majority of it. Can you name me another billionaire in the Indiana graduating classes since, in the last few years? Wow. I think he's the only guy.
Wow.
AM, are you a billionaire? AM, are you a sneaky billionaire? We do have Indiana is represented on our panel here, Mitch, with the great AM Pepper.
I'm not part of the 3 Comma Club just yet, Rick, but give me a few years. Let's see what I can do. Mitch, great to meet you, and thank you for joining us, by the way. And yes, I am the IU alum of the crew, so it's great to talk about. Doc, you mentioned Cuban. I got a funny, quick story for you guys because, I'm going to date myself. I graduated in 2000. I graduated Kelly School of Business in 2000, so I was there in 96 to 2000. But I remember walking through the halls constantly of the business school, and on the walls of the plaque of like a lot of famous alum, right? And you're seeing, it is face after face of like 65 to 75-year-old guys who are straight out of central casting from like Indiana, Nebraska, pick something in and around the area, whatever. And then there was Mark Cuban, and his picture on the wall, again, guys in suits, business suits, all 65, 70-year-old guys. And then Mark Cuban, and he was like, and he made sure his picture was like this. This is what he looked like on there, straight up looking at you like that. For whatever reason, he just needed to be that guy who stood out on the wall. And all of us would walk by and look at him. And this goes back, you're talking about 25 plus years that I would see him on those walls. And obviously, he became who he has since then. But that's my quick story about Cuban.
Nice.
Again, Mitch, I want to ask you a quick question because, I'm glad we talked about Dallas, but you are a Knicks guy. You've covered them as well. I'm a big fan. Doc is a huge fan. I grew up there. I'm out of Westchester, New York as well. And I grew up in watching Ewing and Starks and Oakley. And
you remember the great Isaiah Thomas era.
Unfortunately, I remember the great Isaiah.
Oh, my God. What a disaster. What a disaster.
One of the worst. But, I want to hear your thoughts. This to me is one of the biggest stories we don't talk about. Like, you hear about terrible ownership. I'm sadly a Jets fan as well, right? So like Woody Johnson, like I could look at that team and be like, they'll never be good until Woody Johnson sells. But how did the Knicks become who they are with Dolan still earning the team? I always like to hear people's thoughts on this. Let's hear your thought on this.
Well, it's amazing that, well, first of all, he made a great hire. We didn't know it was going to be a great hire, but you have to give him credit for hiring Leon Rose to run that team. And Leon was a huge agent, CAA, Carmelo Anthony, all these guys, but who knew if he could run a basketball team? And then bringing in Tom Thibodeau was a stroke of genius, because 100%. Tom Thibodeau really was the guy who you talk about. Everybody talks about culture and this and that. Tom Thibodeau brought what he bring. He brought guys in and made them better. Jalen Brunson now is an MVP candidate. He wasn't that in Dallas. Josh Hart never played in a playoff game before he got to New York. So Tom and that's why, to me, it was so shocking that after their best run in basically 25 years, where they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, Tom is the guy who's the scapegoat because there wasn't enough collaboration with guys in the front office. Well, the one thing about Leon Rose and Worldwide West, William Wesley, is they've never won anything. Tom's the guy who did, help the Celtics in a big way in 2008 win a title. Lately, the Dolan thing, I think it's a little off the rails. Besides taking it out on Tom, which I thought it was a mistake, and I think Mike Brown is not, the bar's really high. And how high did Dolan just raise the bar? He gave that interview to Craig Carton where he said, and I'm reading this here because the quote is so amazing, we want to get to the finals and we should win the finals. Getting to the finals, we got to do that, and then we've got to win. He's putting all kinds of pressure on Mike Brown. Mike Brown's got enough already on his plate, and now he's got this on top of, that's doing a disservice to your coach. I think there's only one owner, guys, that I could think of in the last 25 years who could reasonably say that about his team, and that would have been Joe Lacob when they brought Kevin Durant on after they won 73 games and then collapsed in the finals. They're adding Kevin Durant to a team that won 73 games, that has Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. You can go out and say that if you want. Now, you really shouldn't, and you shouldn't do that because you already got a bullseye on your back in a lot of ways. So I don't know why James Dolan did that the other day. I think that was stupid, because that is going to – the bar for Mike Brown has already been set. He's got to get to he's got to get back to an Eastern Conference Finals at least, and maybe a Game 7 after what Tom did last spring with the Knicks and what the Knicks did. And now James Dolan's just putting another bullseye on his team. Because after all, nobody's gunning for the Knicks, but now they have a reason to, because they got this owner with this big mouth who all of a sudden says, you know what, we get to the finals, we should win. Has he ever heard of the Oklahoma City Thunder? Does he know what's going on? Even if you get to the finals, there's no guarantee. So, hey, listen, Dolan and I had a lot of, I wrote about Dolan constantly. I was the NBA columnist for 21 years at the Daily News, and it got to a point where James Dolan stopped talking to me, barred me from his, he used to have a little press gatherings 3 times a year before the season, at the All-Star break, and then after the season to give a postmortem on the season. And it got to be so bad, especially with Isaiah Thomas running the show for him, that we were just killing Jim all the time. And look, he spent money. We got to, give him credit for that, but he just hired the wrong people. And it got to a point where he stopped talking to me, and he stopped inviting me to his little press gatherings, which I kind of got, but I was also like, this is really stupid on your part, because I'm still going to kill you in print if you merit it. And he did in a lot of ways. The Isaiah Thomas thing was just that set the franchise back years. They brought in Donnie Walsh. He did a great job. He did what he had to do. He basically got run off. And, he makes one of the stupidest moves you could ever make was bringing in Phil Jackson to run a team who had never done that. All Phil wanted to do was be a consultant and make $2 million a year. That's what he told Dolan. Dolan gave him a 5-year, $60 million contract. He had never run a team before. And his first few weeks on the job, I think Duke was playing out in the Meadowlands. We all know the big distance between the Garden and the Meadowlands. It's like 7 miles or whatever. Phil didn't even go out there to scout. He didn't work. And we all knew it was going to be a disaster unless you're going to hire him to coach. So anyway, listen, Dolan the Knicks are in a position where they're they are championship contenders. They've got a lot of work to do. This year has kind of gone off the rails a little bit. We know Karl Anthony Towns doesn't like it there. At least that's what it seems. Mike Brown, instead of just kind of replicating what Tom was doing and then doing some wrinkles off of that, he decides he's going to come in and put Josh Hart on the bench, which you can't do. He changed that finally. They've got Brunson. We all know the Knicks are a team that they can get to the NBA Finals. But there's a lot going on there that says, you know what? They're not on. And the East is there for the taking. Indiana without Halliburton, not the same team as last year. Obviously, Tatum will be back for Boston, but they're not the same team. So it's sitting there for the Knicks. But there's a lot of work they have to do, and who knows if they can do it. And what Jim Dolan said the other day, as much as he wants to talk about we're going to all collaborate, and do things together, the front office and me and Mike Brown. You think Mike Brown wants to hear now, we got to get to a finals, we got to win the thing? That's helping Mike Brown out? Stupid.
Yeah, Coach Brown already knows that. He understands the rules of engagement here. He does. He's a wise man. Great guy, by the way. Worked with Mike over at NBA TV.
He's a great guy.
Great guy. I root for Mike Brown. I do, because he's such a good dude. Dwight Walton, come on in here with a question for the great Mitch Lawrence.
So Mitch, to continue this New York Knicks theme, also what James Dolan said at that in that interview was he feels that the Knicks currently have the roster to compete for an NBA championship. So my question, and this is partly from my cousin as well, Dr. X, who desperately wants Giannis Antetokounmpo in New York. So now, because the Knicks' season has gone off the rails a little bit, not much, a little bit. And I'm going to go against what you just said a couple of seconds ago. I think the Eastern Conference is a lot better than what people anticipated coming into this season. I don't think it's that cut and dry for the Knicks to win it this season. However, now to acquire Antetokounmpo, and it's going to take a lot. Do you gut the roster and acquire Antetokounmpo now, or to James Dolan's point, do you play this season out, maybe tweak a roster spot at the deadline, and at the very least, as you said, I think Mike Brown understood coming into this season that the floor was 50 wins and the Eastern Conference Finals again. So he understood the pressure coming in. Yeah. If the Knicks don't get that far and knock the door down and get to the finals, I think that's when you should make the move for Antetokounmpo. Not now. What say you?
If you can. Listen, Milwaukee, now it's interesting. Milwaukee just changed from Peter Fagan's out as the team president. I forgot, Rick might know off the top of his head, who's now going to be calling the shots and running the Bucks. And it seems like Jimmy Haslam, the owner, is kind of getting more power in there. He's relatively new compared to Wes Edens. So we don't know what the Bucks are going to do with him. But it always seems to me like Antetokounmpo, despite all this stuff about I don't want to leave here, I think he wants to go. Do they want to trade him to the Knicks? Do they want to send him in the same conference? Do the Knicks, are you going to take back? You're talking about gutting the team. If you're the Bucks, do you want Karl Anthony Towns? Or do you want a treasure trove of draft picks, which the Knicks don't have because they blew it all on Bridges in that trade? So there's a lot at work here. I could see Dolan, continuing with the Knicks continuing with the same roster, maybe a tweak, like you said, at the trade deadline, but run it back with this team, seeing if Karl Anthony Towns can get adjusted to Brown and vice versa. And then if they fall well short of their goal, which would mean, let's say, getting knocked out in the second round, not making the Eastern Conference Finals, then trying to get Antetokounmpo. I don't know if they have the assets anymore compared to other teams. There are other teams, starting with the Spurs, any team that has multiple picks has it over the Knicks. So we'll see. But I agree with your line of thinking in terms of what I think the Knicks will do. And we'll see what the Bucks do with Giannis anyway. And I don't think he's going to be traded to trade deadline. I think the first available time you're really going to get him is going to be when it's the draft, when there are going to be more teams out there that think, all right, maybe we can put together some assets and go to get him. But I don't think now is the time to trade him anyway, despite the fact that, the Bucks are just spinning their wheels there. They're not going anywhere this year.
Right.
Not going anywhere. To my knowledge, Mitch, John Horst is the shot caller. You mentioned Peter Fagan, and I don't know who that human is, but even though there's a president,
Peter's the president. Peter was the president. John Horst, right? So he's still there, but there seems to be a little shift there in terms of Jimmy Haslam, who I think is the Browns owner, right?
He's a tool. Guy. He's a toolbox, a whole toolbox.
Well, there you go. But I think he's getting. I think they're. His guy is now the president. John's below them, so we'll see. I mean, this is all very interesting in terms of how they're going to play out the season in Milwaukee. Because if it's me, I got to move Giannis in the offseason. I got to get something for him. Got something decent. I can't get what the Hawks got for Trey Young. I got to get something big so I can rebuild.
Yep. Giannis still has a great reputation. Trey Young does not. And so the Bucks are going to get a heck of a lot more for Giannis. Yeah. B-Dot, come on in here with a question for Mitch Lawrence.
How you doing, Mitch?
Good.
You covered the NBA, before social media, before player empowerment, before Hot Take TV. So from your seat, has the league actually improved in how stars are judged, or are today's players more misunderstood than ever?
That's a good question. I think yes, you're right. I think they are judged more critically in a lot of ways because of social media. Back in the day when I started, and for a long time, the newspapers were the power in terms of they had the most impact in how you view, we had a lot of power in terms of how we presented players, who we went after, good guys, bad guys, whatever. However you want to say that. Who got the criticism, who got the blame, all that stuff. The newspapers were that thing. Now, there's all kinds of social media. There's shows like this. There's all kinds of stuff with former players. Paul Pierce, all these guys, Gilbert Arenas, they have a lot of sway. There's the, Sirius, the morning show with Frank and Brian. They've got some good takes and stuff. So there's a much more divergent type of opinion. There's a lot more out there for fans to kind of latch onto and believe who you want to believe. But I think players are now, back in the day, there was no guys always talk about how Michael Jordan didn't have to deal with social media, right? And that's much different than how LeBron has had to deal with social media. So times have changed. I think you could argue it's not for the better. I kind of think it is for the better, because I think what's happened to the league is that the explosion has been reflected in the salaries of guys. So players are making money that nobody ever thought. I mean, we're going to come up in a point where I think I saw it might be Luka Doncic, but somebody's going to be making $82 million over an 82-game schedule, $1 million a game. Back, 25 years ago, and I can't remember the exact figure, but Shaq was the number one. Shaq had the number one salary back in 2000, his MVP season. He should have been unanimous. And he was making I think $17 million for the year or something.
Correct. That's right.
But I think all this stuff has helped grow the league that way. And so nobody can argue with that. But the way the game has changed, the 3-point shooting, the scoring, all that stuff has taken the league to a different place too. So some fans who are older, people who grew up, people who started in the 80s looking at the league when I was starting to write, they might not like it as much as younger people, but that's okay too. I mean, there's a lot of room for fans. So that's a good question. I like that because, social media has been that's like an engine that we never saw this coming. I mean, nobody ever saw this ability. And players, by the way, Kevin Durant lives on social media, right? And he's going back and forth with people. So that's great for a guy like him. People are questioning, like, why is Kevin Durant wasting his time? Well, the great thing is that Kevin Durant, if he doesn't like something being written about him, he can go out and he doesn't have to wait for the newspaper guy to come up and talk to him about it. He can go out and talk about it himself. So I think that's pretty neat. I think that's cool.
Man, just to piggyback on that, man, like you're saying, with the player salaries exploding, who do you think has more leverage today? The superstar on a max deal or the front office, trying to build around that contract?
Well, I tell you here's what I don't like about this apron thing and the fact that the Boston Celtics had to break up a championship team because they were going to hit the second apron. You're penalizing guys like Brad Stevens, or if it's going to be Sam Presti in Oklahoma City.
Sam Presti.
Guys who know what they are doing, who build a team really well and get assets and then reward them for what they've done. But now you're saying, well, you got to move some of these guys like Brad Stevens had to get rid of, Drew Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis or whoever, because his owner told him, well, we can't be taxed on the second apron. To me, and I know Adam Silver wants a leveling of the field, and that's helping them. You're punishing teams that know how to build. You're punishing the guys who do it right. And I don't think that's right. I think that's a bad thing for the league. And, it's brought Boston a little bit back. We'll see what it does in Oklahoma City. I mean, look what they did right after they won the title. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, they all got huge max deals, hundreds of millions of dollars. Does that mean that they're one of those guys is going to have to be moved in the future because the owner's going to tell Sam Presti we got to avoid the second apron? To me, that's wrong. If you do the right things to build a team and you're smart enough to say to the Clippers, I'll trade you Paul George, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has to be in the deal because you see what might be in his future, or you're smart enough to draft Jalen Williams when you did. Why are you penalizing those teams? They should be not rewarded, but they should not be penalized with the second apron on that apron nonsense. That to me has to change. That's a bad thing.
Hey, Mitch, it's because
I appreciate that.
Hey,
great questions and answers. Mitch, we all know it's about whiny small market teams that never win jack. Looking up at Joe Lacob and saying,
and that's what it is.
Damn, he's winning all the time. He's winning all the time and spend. And now Joe Lacob has an arm wrenched up behind his back, and he can't make the moves that got him the dynasty. Right. Anyway, I could go on. Yeah. Mitch, I got a two-parter for you here. Let's take one at a time here. Who was your we have the great Mitch Lawrence, by the way, legendary NBA writer, NBA insider. He's with Sirius XM NBA radio right now. I'm Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Yeah, standing. Oh, baby. Okay, first question. Mitch, who was your favorite player to cover, and what surprised you about them, or maybe what did fans get wrong about that player?
Well, listen, the best player to cover back in the day was a guy like Magic Johnson, because Magic Johnson talked all the time. He talked, you go on a day of a game, there's the shoot around before the game. He would talk before and after that. Then there's before the game, you can go in and talk to Magic. Then you can talk after the game. And it's Magic Johnson. It's the greatest point guard we've ever seen at 6'9". So he's one of the guys. Let me tell you, I didn't have a problem covering Michael Jordan. I did a lot of, back in the 90s, I was living out in Chicago. When I was at the Daily News, I was basically living out there because the Bulls were making all the, the legendary championship run. And this is before, especially the years before he got really big, where he started to have the security detail. This is before you could walk in and talk to Michael Jordan. There'd be two other. Sam Smith from the Chicago Tribune would be on my left. Mark Heiser from the LA Times. These are two old, excellent basketball guys, older guys. He'd be on my right. It'd be the three of us talking to Michael Jordan before a game. That's how times. That's how those type of guys. Charles Barkley was great. You talk about if you thought if somebody asked me back then, who would be great on TV? I'd say Barkley, but he'll never get on TV because all he does is curse, drop F-bombs. He'll never make it. But
I've been around
his
it.
analysis, his insight is incredible. The guy just got to stop saying the F word. I don't think he can do that. He's got no shot, right? And I'll tell you what, I don't know how it is now, and I have the accessibility to the stars, the superstars, media accessibility has been cut back over the years for various reasons, and the restrictions. But back then, I'm talking about these guys who were dream teamers, the biggest stars in the game. They were always accessible, and most of them loved to talk. They couldn't get enough. Couldn't get enough of the media. It was hilarious back then compared to what you have now. So all those guys. So I know I'm not answering specifically, but that's what I think of when I think about who are the greatest guys to deal with and cover. They were like back then, man, and all those guys wanted to do was play, kill each other, win titles. There wasn't any load management. They were all, and they didn't want to join forces. I mean, it was just like a different world. But they respected the media, and you know what? If they wanted to have it out with you, you could talk to them about that too. It wasn't all like, hey, that's the way it is.
And then, Mitch, the second part of that is your least favorite player to cover. Your least favorite player to cover. And what maybe made that player challenging or hard to cover or maybe turned you off on that player?
I didn't, it's funny. I mentioned at the top, we were talking about Donald Carter and Mark Aguirre. And I had a good, Aguirre was, back then, all the Mavericks, Derek Harper, even, Roy Tarpley, for all his troubles, he was great to deal with. I'll give you a little story on that. Back in the mid-'80s when I started, and then I got the beat full-time in the 87-88 season when they went to the conference finals, lost to the Lakers in 7. The Mavericks would provide for you. We stayed at the same hotels as the players, as a team. Kevin Sullivan, the PR director, who later was the White House director for George W. Bush, okay? This is what he did. He used to give the beat writers who were covering the Mavericks, we would get on the road trip what rooms the guys were staying in so we could call them up if we wanted to talk to them. And the players understood, hey, he might be calling you up to get an interview. I mean, it's totally different. But when Mark got traded and Donald Carter sent him up to Isaiah, that was his guy. And he went to play for the Pistons, and he did great up there because he didn't have a big role. The role in Dallas was too big for Mark. Mark was a great talent, but he did not have the mental capacity in terms of what players of his stature have to do to win a title, right? To lead a team. He couldn't do that. All right, they knew that at DePaul. So it followed him into the NBA. But they brought back Adrian Dantley. And it took AD, I think AD didn't report for like 6 or 7 days. And I remember writing when he finally played and he was terrible and the Mavericks lost, I go, the Mavericks waited like 8 days for this? So we got off on a bad note because he read the papers. AD's. And we had some problems. But I knew him when he was with the Pistons. But when we got to Dallas, and I was pretty critical. He was replacing Aguirre and the Mavericks expected certain things. So he was pretty difficult. We had some blow-ups, but everything's fine now. I've talked to him over the years, but back then it was tough. And, he didn't want to beat. See, the thing that really made it tough for AD, and I knew it at the time, is, he's leaving a championship contender in Detroit and coming to Dallas, and Dallas is kind of on a they think they're championship contenders, but they're built around Tarpley, and being built around a cocaine guy is a little tough to do, as they found out. So AD had a problem being in Dallas. He didn't want to be traded. He certainly didn't want to be traded to Dallas. And, all the things that go into that. And, of course, I'm rubbing him the wrong way because I'm writing, but, I'm writing because that's the deal. So, yeah, we had some problems. I had some problems in New York with Anthony Mason, the late, great Anthony Mason.
Rude.
And one time this was after he got traded for Larry Johnson. Remember Charlotte? He went from Charlotte to New York. And and the Knicks brought in Larry Johnson, which was a hell of a move back in the 90s. And I wrote something. I was covering I was out for a Chicago Michael Jordan first round matchup against Anthony Mason's. So I go out there and I wrote something about Mason, and I was in the press room waiting to go out they were going to call us in when we can come in to interview the players. And all of a sudden the door flings open. Mitch Lawrence, where the hell are you? I'm going to kick your ass. There you are. What the fuck? Mace, how you doing, man? Good to see you. What's going on? Let's take this out in the hallway. We got a bunch of media people here who are trying to work. So let's take it. I don't like what you wrote about. All right. I think it was steroid rage. Okay. I really do. I think Mace was. But anyway, yeah, that was that was an interesting little thing. And people were like, "What'd you write?" I go, I don't even I wrote a column about how he screwed up something, whatever. But boy, you talk about he was loaded for bear when he was coming in looking for me. He was looking to settle the score. Not quite Dennis Schroder, Luka Doncic, but
Right.
Brad, those are the guys. But I didn't when he was in. I didn't have a problem with Mace in New York, but maybe he didn't like being in Charlotte. He was taking it out on me. I don't know.
Could have been, man. Could have been. Mitch, on that note, we're going to let you go, man. And really, really, really appreciate your time. Let us know the next time you're on Sirius XM NBA radio. When are you going to be back on there with the guys?
It's weird. When Scal needs to start the show late or he needs the last hour off like today, I get the call 24 hours before, right? So like Scal says, it's like I'm in a be ready. Like I'm on the bench at a game, and they always tell you, be ready. You never know. Be ready. So I don't know. I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm going to be ready. So I'm on the bench. That's all right.
And Mitch, tell the fellas our mantra. We said it before every show that we did together on NBA radio. Do you remember our mantra?
No. What?
It was something about our shows never
drag. Our show never drags.
Our shows never drag. Because me and Mitch brought that fire and that heat to Sirius XM NBA radio, baby.
You gotta have that rep. You gotta have, back and forth, right? No speeches, back and forth. Get it moving, get it shaking. Take a few calls. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I got one more question for you, Mitch. I got one more question for you. Who wins? Who wins next Monday night? And between Indiana and Miami. And does this Indiana football story match what Coach Snyder in Kansas State did back in the day?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that. The team that nobody's talking about, and I'm not going to say that they did it. He didn't do it nearly as quickly, and it's not been mentioned at all. Everybody's talking about Snyder. Snyder never won at Kansas State. He turned the program around, made them real competitive. The guy who did something similar, but it took him longer, and he did something that had never been done. I don't even know if you guys even know this guy, but Nebraska for a long time was nothing. I'm talking about 30s, 40s, 50s. Then they hired Bob Devaney off of the Michigan State staff. And Bob Devaney went in there and made Nebraska a national powerhouse and then handed it off to Tom Osborne. Now, but here's what Bob Devaney did. And I was alive and I watched this. And I knew it at the time. Back then, in the 60s, unless you were Notre Dame and Army or Navy, nobody did any national recruiting. It was all regional. If you're in Alabama, you might go next door to Florida or, Mississippi, but nobody recruited nationally. Bob Devaney was the first guy who, because he's in Nebraska and there's no high school football being played there, he figured out, I got to go out and recruit nationally. And his legendary, the state, people still talk about the 71 team, that famous game against Oklahoma and all. He went back-to-back undefeated right there, 70-71. He came in 63. So that's not as fast as what Signetti has done. But they had legendary players, and they were from California, South Dakota, Minnesota, Ohio, my state, New Jersey. He took out a couple of guys who were all Americans from New Jersey. His quarterback was from Wisconsin. He figured out, just like Cignetti has figured out in this system, what he needs to do. So to me, the only story that compares is Devaney. He didn't do it as fast, but then when he did that, other people said, why can't we recruit nationally? And that's where teams started to recruit nationally. And I think the reason besides the Nebraska thing, when he was at Michigan State, they had two stud defensive players, Bubba Smith and George Webster, who went on to great pro careers, neither of whom were from Michigan. Bubba was from Beaumont, Texas. George Webster, a phenomenal linebacker, played for the Oilers, was from South Carolina. Because of Jim Crow and racism, those guys didn't get recruited where they were, but Michigan State figured out we can bring them up, and they'll come up. And I think Bob Devaney saw that also. But nobody talks about that. Everybody's talking about Snyder. Bob Devaney won national titles, 2 back-to-back. But like I said, it's not. This turnaround has been mind-boggling in terms of how quick it's been. Because Indiana has been. I mean, nobody can believe it's Indiana of all the teams. So anyway, I'll answer it that way.
There you go.
I hear a Hoosiers pick in there next Monday night in the national championship game. I hear a Hoosiers pick somewhere embedded in there.
Well, I'll tell you, what was the stat I read? That Mendoza has 8 touchdown passes in the playoffs and 5 incompletions. I mean,
it's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow and LSU all over again. That's what I feel like I'm watching the same movie with different players in a different uniform.
Except here's the difference. They beat 7 top 10 teams, the 2019 LSU team. They had 14 NFL players.
And they wasn't going against a quarterback who the same age as Tom Brady. So it's it's an uphill battle.
I mean,
uphill battle.
7 Carson Beck, 7 years. Really? 7
That's crazy,
years.
Right? Anyway, that's something.
It's crazy.
That's a different show.
Yeah, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get into that in a little bit. But Mitch, I love you, my friend.
What, I'll pick Indiana, but if Indiana is winning or wins, can somebody do a wellness check on Michael Irvin? Please. Because he's going to be out of his mind if they don't win.
It's going to be a meltdown for sure. And I love Michael Irvin. I want Michael Irvin to be happy, but this Indiana thing's pretty cool, man. This Indiana, Miami's already got a bunch of chips. They already got a bunch of national championships, man.
You're right.
Even if they do win, he's going to be out of his mind.
The They're pretty good though. Mitch, you the man. I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Great.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for asking that
Thanks,
question.
Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch. Great to meet you. Thank you.
Great to meet you guys. Thanks. All the success. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for the
You got it, Mitch. Love you, my man. Love you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All
okay. That was cool, man. The great Mitch Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mitch_Lawrence. That's LAWRENCE. All right. He mentioned Doncic and Schroder. So I want to go to that, guys. Let's get into this. And you guys know, we had Isaiah Stewart, Bobby Portis. I like putting, guy against guy, gets you guys talking about the fight game. So let's set this up a little bit. And guys, we're going to start the 60-second clock here. I'll let you know when to go with that. Dr. X, I'm coming to you first. All right, who you got? Dennis Schroder or Luka Doncic? Here's the news. The NBA suspended Dennis Schroder 3 games. 3 games. That's like a death penalty from Adam Silver these days. I mean, seriously, guys, he doesn't suspend anybody for 3 games. Schroder got 3 games for confronting and attempting to strike Luka Doncic after the Kings lost to the Lakers in LA on December 28th. Doncic and Schroder were jawing. We all saw it. Went viral on Twitter. The Lakers smashed them that night. But during a timeout, Doncic was taunting Schroder, saying, "You should have signed the contract." And so you're hitting really at home here, bro. And the 4-year, $82 million extension that Schroder bobbled, should have taken it. He didn't. No contract of any size like that's ever come back. He's on a $15 million per year contract now, but not 20 plus. So 40 minutes after the buzzer, Schroder goes after Doncic, telling Doncic he can't call him a B on the court and pretend everything is fine off the court. The NBA concluded that Schroder attempted to strike Doncic. And guess what, guys? The Lakers and Kings meet tonight in Sacramento. And, of course, Dennis Schroder will not be a part of the proceedings. So, Dr. X, who you got, Luka or Schroder?
I mean, weight-wise, I think you got to go with Luka. And I don't think Luka was backing down. I think he bumped into him and his shoulder hit him in the face. It looked like that to me. So I'm not sure if I don't think Luka's scared. And so weight size, you might have to go with Luka. But Schroder just seems pretty angry and pretty mad. So he might mess around and win that one. But I'm not sure. I think Doug Christie might have encouraged him to go ahead and do what he had to do based off his history with fighting. I think it was Rick Fox.
Yes.
Back in the day. So I'm not sure if he was discouraged from going to do that. But there's a lot of history in /crypto.com arena. There's a lot of people that try to find the secret passageway to get to the other locker room. So not sure what's going on over there. I think they need to beef up security a little bit more.
B-Dot, you're next, man. I heard a Luka there from Doc. Luka or Schroder? Ding, ding, they're in the ring. Who you got?
Man, this dating back until to the Olympic days, when they were on even kill grounds, and Dennis was able to get that one up on Schroder. On Luka. I'm going with Dennis, man. Them black Germans is different, y'all.
Thank you.
Come on now. Feisty. He had a blonde hair streak. He came from rags to riches in different languages. Luka already don't play good defense in the NBA, so I doubt he can be able to defend himself with some hands getting thrown at him. So, man, look, I'm going with DS17, man, all day, every day. Luka don't want them problems, and Luka knew what he can do while he was. He's in LA. He's on that Lakers organization. Not much Dennis can do, And Doug Christie, he back in that building. It ain't the same as the Staples, but it bring back memories. So Doug probably was just as feisty as Dennis. He probably wanted to jump on Luka too. All in all, I'm going with Dennis. Dennis in 3.
Dwight Walton, you're up next, man. We got a Luka, we got a Dennis Schroder. What says you? Who you got?
I'm piggybacking off a Dot with this one. And one of my favorite movies, Trading Places, Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd. One of the quotes from Eddie to Dan Aykroyd was, if you really want to piss people off, talk about their money. And I think that's what Doncic did. That was below the belt. And Schroder, for whatever reason, I look at Dennis, I'd be afraid, even with my size, I'd be afraid of him. I think Dennis may fight dirty. I think Luka will fight dirty. I think Schroder would be dirtier. So I got Dennis in this matchup. I'm not taking anything away from Luka, but he talked about his money. Dennis did lose $80 million. He did bet on himself. It didn't work out. And I'm sure Dennis thinks about that on a second-by-second basis. And I think that rage is what will have him overcome on Luka Doncic.
Man, I love these answers. I love them. All right, Am Pfeffer, you are next. They're in the ring. Ding, ding. Luka or Dennis?
Gentlemen, comes down to this. Slovenia is known for its majestic mountains, ski resorts, and beautiful lakes. Where Dennis Schroder is from in Germany, Braunschweig, Germany, is known for its rich medieval history, sausage, and Jägermeister. Enough said.
We got another Dennis, is what I heard right there. All right,
you heard right.
So let me give you my answer, guys. I'm going with the German Jordan. Okay, Schroder is a dog. Luka is a show pony. I will take the dog all day in that fight. Luka's not a fighter. He's a painter, an artist, a performer. He's a great trash talker, but he doesn't want to back it up, the barking, with his teeth. Schroder will bite your arm off, man. Schroder is known for some dirty plays. Do you guys remember, as a rookie with the Atlanta Hawks, Dennis Schroder punched DeMarcus Cousins in the balls, okay? And they didn't even call like a foul or anything. And it was one of the all-time cheap shots, just ding right in the store to DeMarcus Cousins, who could eat Dennis Schroder, and we know his mean streak, and Schroder punched him in the store, okay? Schroder has been suspended several times by the NBA, and I like that. Schroder doesn't care. He will snap on you. He will fight you. He's a cheap shot guy. He even gets dirty if he has to. He's an actual tough guy, not a fake tough guy like Draymond Green. I got Dennis Schroder in this mano-a-mano against Luka Doncic. All right, guys, so let's keep it moving here. That was some nice little comic relief. Let's talk Trey Young, okay? I want to go to AM first on this one. And again, with a clock, let me set it up a little bit, and then I'll toss to AM, and you can start the clock on it. The question is, guys, because obviously we were a little shorthanded last week. The Trey Young trade went off, and so I'd like to get some of the guys that weren't on talking about Trey. Here's how we've got this position. Was Trey Young banished or saved? Okay, and you can take it anywhere you. Actually, no clock on this one. I want to give you guys some elbow room to talk. This is a huge story. No clock on this one. Was Trey Young banished or saved? Here's a couple of things. Trae, on the move to Washington, D.C., said, quote, "This city can revive me as much as I can revive it." From the press conference, Trey Young threw some shade at the Hawks, and rightly so. He said, quote, "It's time to see what's possible when the support is real and the vision is clear." Shots fired. Okay, now this I don't like. Josh Robbins, who covers the Wizards, reports, and I quote, "I would be surprised if Trey plays much, if at all, the remainder of the season." That's a buzzkill, but Trey Young is a Wizard, so let's go here. AM Pfeffer, was Trey Young banished or saved?
Banished, obviously, okay? And he can spin it any way that he wants, that he wanted to go to the Wizards. There was no market for him out there, and who knows if there's going to be a market for him after this season. He's not going to play much this year because the Wizards are in full tank mode, obviously. Look at the trade itself. It's centered around CJ McCollum to get an expiring contract off the books. They look at Trey Young and say, cool, man, come on over here, and maybe next year, depending on the pick that we get, we'll fit you in under the salary we want to pay you, because, again, you're not going to have the market, at least not a max market you were looking for, or close to, anywhere once you hit the market. So could they get him for like $25, $30, $35 million a year, which would actually make sense, and that's who you want to keep on your team if you're the Wizards and you want to pay Trey Young and make him a focal point of this team. Of course he was banished. It's the Washington Wizards. He didn't go to a contender. He didn't go to anybody even close to being a contender in the next couple of years. It's clear as day. The writing's on the wall, and you know how I feel about Trey Young. Wasn't a fan before, still not a fan now.
Yeah, AM, he's got the bat and appears Trey is the pinata. B-Dot, we did not have you last week. Was Trey Young banished or saved?
That's a crazy thing. This is going to be about this is going to go into my rant. That's my rant was going to be about Trey Young and about why this trade worked so perfectly in my opinion. I feel like he was saved. I don't think it was a bad trade at all. I think it was actually perfect. I think it was perfect for basketball because, I mean, you know, here's where people get Trey wrong at. They keep trying to force him into these shared control ball dominant marriages, and that's not him. DeJounte Murray didn't work. Jalen Johnson coming into his own, it's not going to work because now he's that Magic Johnson 6'9" primary ball handler. Trey Young is the system. He's not heliocentric, okay? The ball has the orbit around him, and where else not to go? It's the Wizards. You don't need to go. He doesn't want to go on a contending team because he's not going to have the keys. That team he took to in 2021, the Hawks, no superstars at all. No other all-star picks. And Trey Young took them to the Eastern Conference Finals and went through Doc's Knicks. I'm sorry I have to always bring this up, but I know it was 4 or 5 years ago. But let's be honest, Trey Young with the ball in his hands and facilitating with no other ball dominant superstar around him is pretty great. 25-9. People can say there's throwaway stats and all that, but at the end of the day, it still got him where he needed to be. And let's also figure this out. Guess who's running that organization now? Travis Schingling. Travis Schingling, who was also, Schlank. There you go. He was running the basketball. He was the basketball executive over there with the Hawks from 2017 to 2022. And when that 2021 span, that's when they, made that hell of a run. So Trey's going to somewhere and somebody he's familiar with. And I don't think it's a downgrade at all. I think DC's an upgrade. And Trey gets to do what he do, and don't let him get AJ Banyasta next year. I don't know if they would trade. I don't know if they would get him. They may get someone like Boozer to fit that Trey narrative because AJ liked the ball in his hands. But we'll see. I think this Trey in Washington is a great fit. And I think Trey gets to be back Trey, even if he doesn't play this year.
B-Dot says saved. AM says banished. Dwight Walton, was Trey Young banished or saved?
I think Trey Young was banished because the Hawks didn't want to pay Trey Young. They had the opportunity to pay Trey Young this past offseason. I think they were hesitant because they wanted to see if Trey fit with what I deem is the best roster that Trey has had put around him since being drafted back in 2018. Injuries, I think, put a monkey wrench into this process. And also, the reality was, and it's tough for me to say this because Trey is their best player, although we can argue now that Jalen Johnson is the Hawks' best player. But their best player didn't really help the Hawks, primarily on the defensive end. Their team was worse when Trey Young came back from injury, specifically on the defensive end. That also helped in the Hawks' thinking, we're definitely not going to pay this guy, so let's see what we can get on the open market for him. Now, I find Trey Young's words talking about how Washington was his quote-unquote preferred destination. Is that because he knows that the Wizards plan on giving him an extension this summer where he can make close to $50 million a year as opposed to the 5 years, $35 million a year, I believe the Hawks wanted to pay him? I think Young felt that he was being disrespected with that kind of deal. To Dot's point about the statistics, I think Trey Young has a different vision of himself as opposed to what front offices around the league talk about. Also with the Wizards, Trey Young doesn't fit the criteria of what the front office truly wanted in terms of players who are in the 6'7" to 6'10" range, who can dribble, pass, and shoot, and are versatile on both ends of the floor. However, because of the Travis Schlenk combination going back to his days with the Hawks and him being the integral part in drafting Trey Young, I think that helped the Wizards decide, you know what? We have a chance to get this guy. Let's see if Trey Young, who is now the veteran in the locker room, could put his much improved leadership skills to action with this young Wizards group. Of course, I'm biased towards my godson, Keyshawn George. I don't want to see Trey Young take the ball out of his hands as much as we think it will. That remains to be seen. But again, I just think him going to Washington, I think they're going to pay him what he wants. And I think that's why it ended up his preferred destination. So it is what it is. But I think the Hawks banished him because they didn't want to pay him the money that he wanted, and they felt that the team was better off without him, specifically on the defensive end.
Love it. Dr. X, was Trey Young banished or saved?
I agree with that. I think he was definitely saved. I think it was good. The trade was good for both teams for different reasons. I think ultimately, I know the youth experiment that the Wizards are trying to do. And I feel like Trey Young, they needed some veteran presence and a player that knows how to give people the ball, knows how to facilitate, knows how to shoot as well. I know he's not the best defender. I know his size-wise isn't the best, but I think ultimately for a team that's growing, I think he fits. And the fact that he wanted to go there, he's the one that said he wanted to go there. I think he saw his value and how he could be best suited there. That they're saying that he may not play as much. So we kind of want to see what they can, what he can do. I'm sure he'll play enough for us to see what that could be like with a lob threat in Alex Sarr, and Alex Sarr still growing offensively. I think that's a great fit. And, they have a lot of other young pieces, including Keyshawn George, and I'm sure he'll fit too as a point forward alongside a bona fide, true point guard. So ultimately, I like the Wizards fit for Trey Young, especially the fact that he wanted to be there. So I don't think you can't be banished if you want to be there. You're the one that brought it up and said, I only want to go to this team. So I feel like he was saved. And I also feel like, when they saw that's where he wanted to go, I feel like the Atlanta Hawks picked the right player in CJ McCollum to go over there and to balance out their roster with what they've been building this year. And Corey Kispert, don't sleep on him as well. So,
hey Rick,
yeah.
Can I say one more thing here, Rick, if you don't mind?
No.
Yeah, of course.
No, you can't.
Listen to what you said at the beginning of this. You said it would be a buzzkill if Trey Young doesn't play the rest of the season. I don't think the Wizards want Trey Young to play the rest of this season. I'll tell you why. Right now, their pick is protected 1 through 8.
Yes, we know. The Knicks. You just want to throw some stuff on my Knicks fantasies.
If it goes 9 through 14, that pick goes to the New York Knicks, right? So one of the major reasons they got rid of McCollum is because they were winning. The Wizards are 7-6 in their last 13. They don't want to jeopardize that protected top 8 pick. And this goes back to a trade that was made, I think, who was it? John Wall went to Houston. Russell Westbrook came to Washington, and somehow a trade in between there gave that draft pick to the New York Knicks. So what I'm saying is, don't be surprised if the Wizards hold out Trey Young for the rest of the season, because the Wizards are trying to tank. They've been playing better, but they're trying to tank because they have a chance to get AJ DeBansa. They have a chance to get the Peterson cat from Kansas. There is a host of characters coming out in this summer's draft. And if they could be fortunate enough to get one of those high draft picks along with this young core, that's how the Wizards want to build going forward. So keep that in mind in the event Trey Young is held out for the rest of the season.
You're mute.
Mute.
Man, I had a good run with the mute thing, and that's over now. I love these debates where it's 2-2. We got 2 banished, we got 2 saved. All right, now it's my turn. I say Trey Young was saved, not banished, with this trade to Washington. The Hawks completely turned on Trae. Okay, they scapegoated him for all of their choky problems, and the Hawks are so historically mid. Okay, they're always in their own way. They're never, I shouldn't say never, but I highly doubt in my lifetime they're ever going to hoist the gold ball. Okay, they're not run well enough to do it. Trae's career was on a road to nowhere in Atlanta. I'm not there anymore, so I don't know if fans were turning on him and this guy. The team certainly turned on him, okay? Get out of here. You suck. We can't win with you, blah, blah, blah. But right now, Trae, and it's a great song. Leonard Skinner sings it. Well, they used to. Free Bird, okay? And the lyrics are fantastic. I can really relate to them because I'm coming out of a divorce, and it's essentially, I don't need you around here anymore. I'm free as a bird. I'll go do whatever the hell I want, okay? And we all know it's a joke. You're out seeing a band, free bird, right? Okay, but guess what? Trey Young is that cliche right now. He is a free bird. Trey can just play. He can just play. He's not going to have every Atlanta critic and sports writer and sports talk radio host up his you-know-what because he turned the ball over 5 times and gave up 33 to the other point guard. Duh, we know he can't guard, okay? But guess what? He does a lot of other phenomenal things. It's the 80-20 rule, right? Where, 80% is excellent, but the 20%, there's some deficiency. Everybody focuses on the 20%. It's nauseating. But in Washington, guys, there will be no expectations, no harsh critics. I bet you Wizards fans are so desperate for top-end talent that they're going to give Trae a ton of grace on the defensive end next year, as it sounds. Washington has a nice little core. It's not great. It's not OKC. It's not Minnesota. They got a nice little core. I see you. Trey Young. I love Alex Sarr. You guys know that. I love Keyshawn George. Doc, you're welcome. Trey Johnson looks like a nice little shooting guard. I like him. I think he was the 6th overall pick. Bilal Coulibaly, also a recent lottery pick. And Washington right now, guys, on tankathon.com has the 4th pick in the draft. And Dwight, you did a great job of bringing up that they have to keep that pick 1 through 8. Right now, they're at 4, okay? And obviously, you got to have the pick. So that's the most important thing here. But it's huge for Washington to be in the bottom 4. Not because they'll lose the pick, but this is being called a 4-dude draft. And to say that 5, 6, 7, 8, that there's going to be no good players in there, obviously that's not true. But there are 4 big boys in the 2026 NBA draft. Everybody knows that. You want to be in the bottom 4, okay? If you're 5, if you're 7, you may miss out on the really, really premium, game-changing, franchise-changing talent. If you're in the bottom 4, you're going to nail one of those guys, okay? Also, the Wizards have a ton of cap space this summer, okay? So let's say they're bottom 4, they get one of the big boys. You got Trey Young. I don't know if you extend him or not. I don't know how that looks. And then you go out and maybe you get a shooter in free agency. And I don't know what that board looks like yet, but they're probably going to be the biggest players in free agency if they want to. They have anywhere, according to AI, I'm just kidding, but according to reports, they're going to have anywhere from 40 to $80 million in available cap space this summer to go shopping and turn it around and build around Trae. And I'm wondering if Trae can do for Washington what Brandon Ingram is doing right now for Toronto, okay? Brandon Ingram was traded there. We were all like, what the hell are you doing, Toronto? He never played, right? Because they were in tank mode. And then he's on my all-star team right now, guys. He was also on the all-pillow team. Okay, I want to remind you about that. But he's also on my all-star team right now. I got to give him credit. He's been absolutely fantastic for Toronto this year. And guess what? Nobody saw Toronto 8 games over 500, 4th in the East. Nobody. Darko Rajakovic didn't even see that, okay? And Brandon Ingram is the reason why. He's the difference. They had Quickly, they had Barrett, they had Barnes, they had Pirtle, they had all these guys. He's the difference. So I'm wondering if Trey Young can do that. Everybody thinks he sucks. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people think he sucks. You can't win with him, blah, blah, blah. I want Trey Young to get Washington next year to like 500. Make the play-in tournament. Shut all these people up. Anyway, good stuff, fellas. Good stuff. All right, let's move on and talk a little bit of football. Yeah,
Rick,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I think this, look, he's been the focal point of the league in the past couple of days. This was the biggest trade to hit for a period of time. So I want to ask all the saved truthers on this panel. I got the question, okay? What happens next year, all right, when Trey Young, okay, doesn't get from Washington what he wants in the long-term extension, okay? He and his agent don't see the market around the NBA, and he opts into that poison pill $49 million player option that's still sitting on the table, and then kneecaps the Washington Wizards and all this great cap space that you're talking about next year, and this relationship sours, and he doesn't play a minute this year because, they do have to tank, and that's why they made this trade. He doesn't play a minute and doesn't get to showcase his talents or the fact that he's healthy. What happens then to all the saved truthers? Is he banished then, or is he still saved?
That's why he chose Washington, AM. That's a great.
Hello.
That's why he chose it, because you're exactly right. He chose the Wizards because he's gonna opt. He's gonna get that money. I'm telling you, that's why he did it.
And that's why he saved, because he's getting his money.
Exactly.
That's why not banished. Not that Atlanta banished him for
the fans banished, but he's saved.
He's been saved. Got it. Thank you.
And then he don't play the rest of this year. He gets to be healthy. He gets to relax, rehab, get it right for whatever comes next year, and that's going to be $49 million.
DMV is a good spot.
Yeah.
He's good. He's fine.
It works so well for Bradley Beal and the Wizards when he was in that spot. And his player option, and they had to extend him, but traded him instead.
The whole premise of the question, the reality is, fellas, and I get what you guys are trying to lawyer this question here. Yes, was he saved? Sure, but he was banished by the Hawks.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Come on, fellas.
He's in the
Look,
Yucatan.
you either look at the glass, halfway full or half empty. Okay, half empty is being banished, but half full is like, okay, at least I'm gonna get his $49 million next year. So hey,
okay, that's fair.
Truth be told, he actually saved the Hawks. And B Dot, you're kind of telling us about how they got past the Knicks. It really wasn't the Knicks. No one expected the Knicks to do anything great that year with Julius Randle, but they actually beat the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid. So he put them on the map. I would say after that whole thing with Al Horford and Paul Millsap, that's as far as they ever went. So I think he did a lot for the Hawks organization. And yes, their picks started playing better and he just didn't fit in. But ultimately speaking, it was time for both of them to move on, and he got to a place where he's going to get his bag.
Yeah, so they vanished.
I see what you did there.
No, he won. He won.
Take some light off to the Knicks. I understand. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Take a little light off of them.
That was really why I brought that up. I was holding on to that.
Wow. Trey Young might be the most polarizing player here on our show. He really does divide the room. And frankly, I love it. This is what debate shows are supposed to be, man. And we hope you guys and girls are having a blast out there watching Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. All right, let's talk a little football here, guys. Bring back the 60-second clock here. Help me understand the Trinidad Shamblas thing, okay? Is this a blessing in disguise for Trinidad Shamblas, the Ole Miss quarterback? He applied with the NCAA. Boy, don't get me started. I have so much to say about the NCAA, but I'll just stick to the script here. Trinidad Shamblas was denied a 6th year of eligibility by the NCAA. Okay. Carson Beck right now is in the national championship game as the quarterback of Miami. In his 7th year of eligibility. And they're not letting Trinidad Shamblas come back for year 6. Help me out with that. Okay? So anyway, it's a bunch of bullcrap, obviously. But let's go. But he obviously showed that he is a spectacular player. And whether you think he's ready for the NFL or not, that could be in his future here. If they deny him eligibility, he's going pro. Okay, so that's all the setup right there. Put Dwight Walton on the clock first here, please. Is this a blessing in disguise for Trinidad Shamblas?
I hope it works out for this young man. He is now, in essence, being forced to go to the NFL draft. We could talk about his arm strength, his ability to play off script, a lot like Caleb Williams, currently with the Chicago Bears. His size quotient will have him going, I think, on the 2nd day of the draft. Is it prisoner of the moment for some front offices in the NFL where he possibly goes late in the 1st round? He has definitely proven himself over the last calendar year, winning a national championship with Ferris State in Division II and almost leading Ole Miss to a national championship this season. However, with all the stuff going around in basketball, with draft choices being able to come back and play at the collegiate level and this whole NIL business, I think Chambers was done wrong in this situation here. But I think he's going to be in the NFL this season. I just don't know if it's going to be on the 2nd or in the later rounds of the NFL draft.
B-Dot, blessing in disguise for Trinidad Shamblas?
Man, it's every topic you bring up, it goes into my rant. So this I'm gonna keep it short and simple. Man, it's a blessing for bro. Bro, you gotta grow up. All right, I understand you're trying to reap as many benefits as you want. The NCAA is not going to let another SEC quarterback go somewhere and prevail and be great, or if you're going to stay at Ole Miss. It's just not how it works, okay? We I know a lot of people are happy to see the SEC is finally being leveled off and everyone else is being able to reap these benefits. But hey, bro, you got to go, man. You can go to the league, bet on yourself, man. I understand that Ole Miss is lovely. The women down there is beautiful. The food is good. But you're about 28 years old now, man. All right. If you need to go to the league, bet on yourself. Okay, that's all I got to say. I think it's a blessing for bro. I think, you taking scholarships from other you're taking playing time from other younger players that are striving to be where you are. So that's that. Simple as that.
Okay. He says it's a blessing in disguise. Am Pfeffer, you are next, my friend.
Yeah, no, it's not a blessing. It's a weird one with this kid. I mean, he has the arm strength, but he's also 6 feet on his best day. He's 200 pounds on his best day currently, and he doesn't have a lot of tape, because that's really what we're talking about here, right? Like, that's what this comes down to. He's only got 1 year at a big program, and what a great year! But he's also an RPO program, and he's an RPO quarterback, and measures out at that. And the league is moving away from that at this moment. But he is also 23 years old. And perhaps he should get into the draft, in a draft that next year is going to have many better quarterbacks and a lot more depth. So it's kind of a 50-50 ball here, but I still lean the fact that it's not as good for him as possible, because, unless he just absolutely balls out on his pro day or at the combine, or somebody looks at him and is like, he has all the intangibles and he's got it in between the ears up here to run the program, and we do want to build around an RPO guy, like, he's really a second, possibly third day guy at this point, and he'd be better off trying to be a first or second day guy if he can go back and show more tape next year.
Dr. X, you haven't heard me yet, but you've heard these 3 astute gentlemen talk about Trinidad Shamblas. Do you think it's a blessing in disguise that, and they're appealing it, right? Trinidad is appealing this to try to get that 6th year. Probably not going to go well for him. So do you think it's a blessing in disguise? Just go to the NFL or what?
Well, it really depends on his reason. Is he doing it because he wants more time to develop his skill set and show that he can be a pro? Or is he just trying to make more money at this point? Is he trying to make sure that he, utilizes this time that he can actually just make more money at the college level with all the NIL deals? Then I would say financially, is he going to make more money in the NFL going forward right now? Or should he stay back behind? So I think that, the NCAA made the decision for him. It kind of sucks if he's not going to do well as a pro. It seems like most of you guys are thinking that he probably needs more time under his belt, more experience to prove that he is ready to be a pro. But all in all, I think it can be a blessing in disguise sometimes when you're kind of pushed into a situation. He obviously is talented, and I think if he gets drafted to the right situation, this could be great for his career.
Doc, I think it's both, with him wanting to go back to Ole Miss to billow his value a little bit, and also, probably make 5, 6, 7, 8 million in NIL as a quarterback of a big time SEC team, which would be more than he could make as a rookie quarterback if he falls out of the first round. Here's my answer, guys. This is a blessing in disguise for Trinidad Shamblas. I think it's actually good news. To me, and I understand the size, 6 foot, okay? I also see an absolute bazooka on his right shoulder, and I see some really, really sweet feet. And what I know about the NFL right now, the RPO thing, we can talk. It's you have to be able to improvise and make plays that aren't there. You got to be able to do that, okay? Unless you're Matt Stafford and you're just a wizard throwing the football. So I got my top 5 prospects at the quarterback position for the 2026 NFL draft. Number 1 is Fernando Mendoza. The guy's 6'5" with a howitzer on his shoulder. He's going to the Raiders at number 1. Trinidad Shamblas is going number 2, grudgingly, AM, to your New York Jets. And they're going to ruin another quarterback, okay? But Trinidad Shamblas is the second best quarterback prospect in this draft for me. Dante Moore is 3rd. I got him going to the Vikings at 18. Carson Beck, who's 37 years old, and the hairline to prove it. He goes to the Steelers. He goes to the Steelers at 21. And Ty Simpson, who is not going to work out in the NFL. You heard it here once, twice, 175 times. Ty Simpson's not that guy. I got him going to the Colts at 47. All right, we're getting a little bit deep in the show here, and I know Doc's got to wrap this up a little bit. So, Dr. X, do you have a rant? Do you have anybody to shout out? What's up, man?
Man, no rants, but I'm always thinking New York Knicks, right? So I just hope that we do something to strengthen our bench, and we do it quickly. And I'm not sure which teams out there are going to be a perfect partner in this, but I'm looking at the Portland Trail Blazers, I'm looking at the Pelicans, and I'm looking at the Sacramento Kings. And, we need more dogs. The Knicks need more people that bring that culture of the way Josh Hart brings that culture and that fire. That's what we need. So maybe not get rid of anybody in our starting five, but hopefully we can just, add some depth to the bench, add some fire, add a player that will actually play and not like a PJ Tucker who's there for emotional support. I still don't even understand that pick last year. We're not going to even put him out in the game. So I really just want the Knicks to really just do a good job of rounding out their roster, making a good run for it. And hey, if we can swing for the fences and potentially get a Giannis right now, bringing in another partner and getting some picks through a trade from some of our players at this point, I say I'd rather do that and just see build off from now, fitting Giannis into this system and building that culture. But let's see, man. Right now, I'm just chilling. And Rick, I do not appreciate you whipping me. What was it? 10-1. But it's all good in fantasy basketball. But it's all good. I'm going to be building my team right now. I'm really waiting on the trade deadline because Steve Kerr is holding me hostage with this whole Jonathan Kuminga thing. So hopefully Jonathan Kuminga finds a good landing spot.
Doc, I told the guys, I said, take it easy. They're all, by the way, they all got a notice in their locker for insubordination. They didn't listen to me. Okay. They went out and kicked ass and took names. And I said, no, I want to win 6-5. I want to win, but let's not run up the score here. And they didn't listen. So just know, Doc, they're all in the penalty box. I'm mad at all of them, and they are guilty of insubordination. All right. AFFer, you got a rant? You got a shout out before we get out?
Yeah, I got a couple of things here. First of all, Rick, you like to talk about divorcing your team. If the New York Jets with the second pick in the draft, because we also own Indianapolis is like 15, 16, if we take Trinidad Shamblas, the second pick after the year we just had with Justin Fields trying the RPO, I might just divorce this team. I want you to know. I'm going to jump back in because I didn't get to weigh in on this on the all-pillow team. I didn't get to weigh on this. I want to say this first and foremost. Nene Hilario, by the way. I love that you brought his name up. I think we've got to be the only show on any streaming podcast anywhere who's mentioned his name in the last 5 years. So that's pretty cool right there. He was an absolute beast. When you brought his name up and I said, I really thought about it. You were so right. His first 3 years in the league, you would look at that guy and be like, did you just get taken out of is it extra in Hollywood and get were you a bouncer in Brazil, bro? Got brought up into the NBA. He was an absolute force, and he definitely was soft. Here's another name for you that has to be on there. And it's so funny that Mitch Lawrence actually brought him up as an aside. Kristaps Porzingis, he is definitely on that team, man. I mean, that guy's had more injuries, been on more teams, and now he's effectively battling, an autoimmune deficiency for the rest of his career. Who knows how much time he's really going to play. He's definitely on that team. But soft, to me, brings up a totally different word, right? It's not, and I know we're talking about this really kind of dovetails into injuries, but there were 3 guys, and I just want to throw them on honorable mentions. It's got to be brought up. Andre Bargnani, for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Kwame Brown, these are 2 of the softest guys. And I've got a third guy for you. And even though he was a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he got into the Naismith Hall of Fame last year, if I get a chance to take a shot at this guy, because he's one of my least favorite players of all time, I'm going to take it. Dwight Howard.
No!
You should be on the all-time soft list. You just were soft.
No!
Okay, that's just what it was. But honorable mention, Dwight, I get it. He could be polarizing. Over time, his body of work, it should have been a whole different career. It should have been Shaq. He was soft.
Okay.
Wow. Dwight Howard just caught a major stray. I don't think Dwight Howard was soft. I think Dwight Howard, I got him figured out. Phenomenal player, Hall of Famer, all-time great, all that kind of stuff. Give him all of his flowers. Dwight Howard was not a need-to-win guy. There are want-to-win guys, and there are need-to-win guys. James Harden is a want-to-win guy. He talks about winning championships, blah, blah, blah. It's so phony. It's so fake. It's never going to come to fruition. He's not wired that way, okay? He doesn't need to win. He's not cut from the Brady cloth, the Jordan cloth, the Kobe cloth. He's not. Okay. And so that's to me, the Dwight Howard thing. He just wasn't a need to win guy. He was a want to win guy. Great player, but never really won anything. They got trucked by LA in the finals when they went. By the way, that was the year, guys. We were supposed to get LeBron and Kobe in the finals, and the Orlando Magic just buzzkilled that whole dream. All right, let me try to stay organized here. Let's go to Dwight Walton for a rant and or a shout out here.
Brandon Jennings, I am coming for you right now. What you said about Canadian players, if you go at them, they tend to back down. I respectfully disagree. Your comment, especially for a guy that used to hang out in Toronto back in the day, maybe this is where your opinion is coming from, but listen, you're going to tell me that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is soft, Jamal Murray is soft, RJ Barrett is soft, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is soft, Dylan Brooks is soft, Lou Dort is soft, Benedict Mathurin is soft. I can go on and on. As a Canadian basketball player myself, I am by no means soft. All the players I know in Canada aren't soft. You can say this about anybody. You can say it about people in California, in certain parts of the state of New York, in New Jersey, in the Midwest. We can say this about anybody, but your generalization about Canadian players really ticked me off. It ticked everybody in the basketball community in our country off. I think that was a disrespectful thing to say. Just because you feel that we back down, we don't back down one iota. I cannot wait until 2028 in Los Angeles, where you guys are supposed to be favored to win the gold medal. But if you go with this current roster that I think you're going to have in 2028, talking about Anthony Edwards, Cooper Flagg, who else? Chet Holmgren. You give me a starting five. Does that scare anybody? Think about it. Just 2 summers ago, 2024, you needed Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, and a host of characters to barely, yes, y'all won, but to barely beat Serbia and France in the final 2 games. And if not for the heroics of Steph Curry, yes, LeBron was the MVP, but if not for the shooting heroics of Steph Curry in the semifinal and the gold medal games, y'all wouldn't have won the gold. And you had 3 of arguably the best players to ever put on basketball sneakers. And now you're talking about we're soft? Good luck in 2028. I'll be watching, most definitely. Don't ever call Canadian basketball players soft again. You heard my list. Those guys are coming for y'all and the rest of the world. Canada basketball players aren't soft. That was a disrespectful statement. Never say it again.
That was phenomenal. That was phenomenal.
We're gonna have to post that and tag Brandon Jennings.
Got to.
B-Dot, come on in here, man. What do you want to tag that with?
For my rant?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh man, I'm gonna go ahead and be. Look, man. Let me be real for a second, because this ain't about hating on players. It's about protecting the next ones up. All right, we mentioned it before. The National Collegiate Athletic Association has officially lost the line. Okay, we're letting football players come back for a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th year, and in basketball, we're letting dudes who already played professionally, NBA G League, overseas, walk back onto campus like it's a victory lap. Some of these dudes are 25, 26 plus years old. And again, I'm not knocking the players. If the door's open, walk through it, get the bag, secure the future. I tried to go back to JUCO a couple times when I didn't heard this rule. I'm like, let me go ahead and try to get a little bag. But let's stop pretending this doesn't come with the cost. Because every time a coach fills a roster spot with a grown man who's already been paid to hoop, that's one less scholarship for a 17-year-old. that's been grinding in AAU tournaments and hoping college is his way out. Why would a coach take a high school senior that they have to develop when they can just grab a ready-made pro who's already seen the world? That ain't competition. That's displacement. And football, same problem. Like we mentioned, Trinidad Shamblas, from Ole Miss, led his team to the playoffs, tried to get a 6th year because of legit medical issues, and the NCAA says no. But then turn around and let other situations slide with zero consistency. So what are the rules? Because right now there aren't any. That's why John Calipari is speaking up, and he's right. And this John Calipari, he's known for developing pros 1 year and out. So if you put your name in the NBA draft and stay in, that should be the line. No matter where you're from, no matter what league you played in, college sports were meant to be the fallback plan for pros. It was never meant to be that. They were meant to be a launch pad for these kids to either go to a pro or to get this college degree and proceed on with their life. If you want to, you want to build through development, or you want to turn college into a minor league free agency. Because if we keep doing like we're doing, the message to high school players is loud and clear. Wait your turn or don't bother. And that's not growth, that's gatekeeping. And that's my rant.
You guys rock, man. You guys rock. Here's my rant, guys. We got to credit Barstool Sports here. Guys, this is Jason Williams, White Chocolate, talking about Victor Wembanyama, and the slander is real.
Rank the last 6 number 1 overall picks.
Okay. Oh, I'm going with Cade Cunningham.
Cade
Cunningham.
Cade over Wemby?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Cade, Wemby.
No, I'm going Edwards and then Wemby.
Wow.
I'm not. Yeah. What's Wemby do, bro? On the Grizzlies. No knock to the Grizz, but what's he doing on that roster? He's still hooping, but he ain't doing what he's doing with the Spurs.
Are you thinking about who's around him as opposed to how he's built?
For sure.
Oh, I think it's because it's how he's built.
No, I think Wemby is one of those players you plug in anywhere, he'll be fine.
I agree, but it's not as good on the Grizzlies roster as opposed to the Spurs roster.
Okay, so you have.
All right, just stop. It's nonsense. all due respect, White Chocolate. I mean, you're in media. You're making money. It's all good, bro. It's all good. And opinions are opinions. We can share them, disagree. This is awful. Okay, this is like you're just throwing darts. Okay, this isn't sports media, Jason. What that was? That's not sports media. That's just sitting around with some guys and spitballing and throwing darts against the wall. Raise your game a little bit, bro, because the San Antonio Spurs drafted Victor Wembanyama, okay? And they have groomed him and developed him. Every single team in the Victor Wembanyama would be doing exactly what he's doing right now on every team in the league. And I would actually say that Greg Popovich stunted his growth. Pop, we love him. To me, he's the GOAT of NBA coaches. He had no idea how to use Victor Wembanyama. None. Do you guys remember he was rarely seeing the ball? Remember they started Jeremy Sohan at point guard? I mean, it was like, bro, what are you doing? Okay, so he wouldn't be as good on the Grizzlies as he is on the Spurs. It's the worst sports take I've heard all year. So again, White Chocolate, love you. Go get that bag. I hope your career goes great with Barstool and all that kind of stuff. But that take sucked. It was absolutely awful, dude. I agree with the guys that he was on with, right? They're like, dude, Wemby's Wemby, man. The guy's 7'4". He's built in a lab. He's a freaking alien, okay? We've never seen a player like this, ever. We've never seen an Alonzo Mourning shot blocker at 7'4" with between the legs and step back threes and all of this. Come on, man. Just stop the music. Stop the music. I want to shout out Mitch Lawrence before we get out of here. He's my homie, and we had a great time with him. He was absolutely fantastic. Guys, we got to get out of here. Any last quick shout-outs before we say goodbye to the people? Just jump in and anything you got or not.
Quick shout out to the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not even a fan of that team, but how are you doing this? You're still there. How did you win as many games as you did and playoff game on the road in Philadelphia? I got to give Shanahan some credit, man. If you're a fan of that team, if you're a fan of the NFL, it's pretty cool that they're still there.
The script has been written and is going and
right.
developing perfectly.
This is right. Shout out to the script.
Come on now. In the Super Bowl in San Fran too?
Yes, it is.
This year, come on now.
Yes,
Come on. Bring it home, Purdy. Bring it home. Mr. Game Manager. Bring on. Shout out to the 49ers
Guys,
too.
Sky
Bro.
Moore played a defensive play in that game. Like, I mean, the cast-offs, if you look down the defense, it's like, what? How are you guys doing any of it? It's amazing. It's amazing.
Shout out to the 49ers too. I'm piggybacking off of him.
I like it. And they just lost George Kittle to an Achilles injury, which absolutely,
Incredible. Yeah, that's incredible.
absolutely
Another one goes down. Like, this is crazy.
unbelievable. I mean, George
Shout-
Kittle, the
shout-
guy's a future Hall of Famer, and they're probably not going to play it all next year. It sucks. I feel bad for him. But the Niners are still around.
Shout out to Canada basketball, both men and women. We're coming. The world is on notice. I'm telling you that right now. Listen, I didn't need Brandon Jennings to trigger me, but he did. And all I'm letting y'all know, beware of Canada basketball, both men and women going forward. We are on the scene. We are coming. You are going to hear from you. Yes, play that national anthem. I am a proud Canadian, born and raised. Absolutely. Don't you forget that. We are on the map. We are coming, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming. And also, to add to the not soft list, I forgot to mention Zach Edey. Ain't nothing soft about that big boy. Nothing whatsoever. Just remember that. We're coming.
By the way, Dwight was the Nene of Canada. Look at how jacked he was, man.
Dwight, I know. Dwight Walton's taking us to the gun show, baby. Let's go, man. Let's go.
I might
Flex
put that
on that
dating. I
boom,
might put that
Dwight.
picture on my dating profile. One of my dating profile pictures.
Yeah.
Picture, man. That boy.
Look at that buff dude, man. Hey, Doc, anybody in Fiji you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Man, just the beautiful people of Tokariki Island. They were great. They showed me and my wife a great time and great hospitality, great culture, and we're glad to be and would love to go there again.
Love it, man. For the great Dr. X, for Dwight Walton, for B-Dot, for AM Pfeffer, for our great crew, Jason Arambulo, our producer, and Kai Josephson, our video director. I'm Rick Kamla. Thanks again to Mitch Lawrence for joining us. Thank all of you for watching us. We love you guys, man. Keep watching Beyond the Surface. We'll be back on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with another edition. We are the X-Rated Sports Network, and we are out.